get into your physical. It's time to talk some piss and more. We gonna talk about it all. DVD, CD, UHD, VHS, books, Blu-ray. Who knows, maybe you'll even see a laser disc today. Let's get physical. We wanna talk some physical media. Movies and TV, music and more. Come check out what we have in store. This is a media house dream. It's time for some physical media on FanZcene.
I know it was like really popular because it like won some Oscars and whatever, but
Jimmy does that.
It's got the Mighty Ducks guy. Got that guy.
No! Yes, but no! He's not the Mighty Ducks guy! It's Emilio Estevez! Who's the brand? You can never have enough physical media.
Well, hello, fellow followers. Welcome back to the Physical Media Show here live on FanZcene. Do not adjust your screens. That is me and deleted scene, Steven. Where Tom is, we don't know.
He's on assignment.
we're hoping he joins us here soon. So we're I don't know. We hope he joins us here soon, but he should be along. But greetings, Steven. How are you this night, evening, whatever time it may be where you are?
In the path of the storm, as it turns out, but otherwise fine.
Well, I hope you're safe. I hope we don't lose you during the show.
I may blow away.
No. Oh. All right.
I'm
Well, I'm
not
going
in
to
Kansas anymore.
We're not in Kansas. Toto, no. Let's say hi to the chat real quick before we get into all this. We have FKHC 2005. Hell to you, man. What is up, Ace Halen? I have not yet seen In a Violent Nature. I've been meaning to, but I have been super, super busy lately trying to do so many things, and I will get to it. It's something I do want to see. I've heard mixed things on it, so I got to give it a watch just to see. You've seen it, Steven. Did you like it?
I did.
You did?
I'm very curious to hear what your thoughts are on it.
I have to get to it. I have not had a chance. I've been swamped with lots of work. So I will get to it. Especially with spooky season coming up. So And hey, look, we got Steven in the chat. What's up? Hell chat.
Hey.
And so we have Jay Knapp who says, I shared it with my pet LLM. I'm not sure what that means, but okay, thank you. What is up, Clark the Shark? He says it's a party, baby. Yes, it's always a party on the Physical Media Show. And then we have Clark's Arc, which is this is a new channel I don't think I've seen in the chat before. It says yes. Have you seen them before? I don't know. And Kingman. And we have Kingman Productions saying hell, which is also I think is a new in the chat. Well, welcome, glad to have you here as well. Oh, me, we're bringing it here. Okay, good, cool. Okay. What's up, Brian Barth? Hell to you. Glad to have you with us as well. As always, Corley and Rogue. Hello, my friend. And hello, Venom Bite. And yay, J-Nap. As I said, J-Nap. Welcome, J-Nap. And what's up, Cowabunga dude? And hello, Random Brad. Glad to have you with us as well. Emilio Estevez, the lesser-known Sheen. I like that. Vid managed to get Hellraiser and Hellraiser Hellbound. All right. That's cool. They got a nice big 4K set out from Arrow with the first 4 movies. That's pretty cool. Nice. So, yeah. So, hell to you. And what is up, Tyrell72? Glad to have you with us. And hello, Anthony Draven. Hell to you. Live long and prosper, Tyrell. And Anthony Draven. I'm getting mixed up here. Sorry. Apologize. And hi, Hollowfield, my good friend. Glad to have you with us as well. Ace Handler said he really enjoyed it. So I've heard things. I need to get on it. I need to see that and Late Night with the Devil too, because I've heard both those are
another good one.
Yeah, I've heard mostly good things about both of them, but also a few mixed things. So I don't know, So I gotta get on them. But funny thing is, they're both already about on physical media. They're on physical media right now. So
They are. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's good. But greetings, everybody out there in the chat and everybody watching at home. We're hoping to have Tom join us soon. We're hoping to have him join us soon, so hopefully he will be soon. But let's see what we got for upcoming releases. Let me find a list here. What am I doing? Go to this right here. There we go. That's where I want to go. Son of a bitch, they dropped the price on that. Sorry, I just was on Blu-ray.com and I saw someone sell. Let's see what we got here. Coming soon. Did we? Let's see. Kickboxer 4K Steelbook is coming, which is coming September 24th, 2020. Wait, that's already out. There's just date added. I'm sorry, that's date added. My bad. It looks like there's going to be a Kickboxer 4K coming. Let's see, a new Shaun of the Dead 4K Steelbook. The new Kevin Smith movie 430 movies coming. Doesn't look like there's much in the way of anything else other than stuff we've talked about already. Did we get Galaxy Quest? Did we get that?
I believe you did. Yeah.
Okay, because that's coming out in 4K. Let's see. Stir Echoes is getting a 4K Steelbook. I saw that.
Nice.
The I Love Lucy is getting a complete series Blu-ray coming soon. The whole series on Blu-ray. That's something new. That's kind of a big deal because like we've noticed here lately, there are some TV shows getting Blu-rays and stuff now. So that's I'd rather I Love Lucy got the first announcements over Friends. As the first. I mean, who was really asking for a complete series of Friends on Blu-ray? I mean, seriously, come on. I mean, that's just insane. I believe Deadpool and Wolverine comes out on 4K, Blu-ray, DVD, Steelbook, all that on October 22nd. I think the pre-orders are coming soon, if not up already. Let's see. Arrow's got their announcements coming Friday, so we'll miss those announcements this week. Let's see. Trying to find all the good stuff here. Got that. And the I Love Lucy doesn't say when it's coming. It doesn't say when it's coming yet, I don't think. It doesn't say yet. I think that's really about it to be as far as I can see. I know we talked about The Hitcher. The Hitcher is supposed to be coming October 22nd as well. The new 4K. The movie Bug with Ashley Judd and Michael Shannon is coming out on 4K from Kino Lorber. So there you guys have that. Oh, and we do have a Tom. We do have a Tom.
Hello, Tom.
Heyo.
Heyo. What's up, Tom? How you doing?
Oh, I'm peachy. How you guys?
Just going over some stuff, being good. I forgot about that. Yes, Cannibal the Musical is coming on Blu-ray. I did see that. I think that's who was doing that again. Was that Vinegar Syndrome, I believe?
They're putting it out through. Well, they aren't the ones putting it out, but they're one of the places you can get it. I'm trying to remember the name of the company because they're also releasing a Blu-ray of Toxic Avenger and Kabuki Guy or whatever the hell his name is.
Oh yeah, Kabuki, NYPD Kabuki or whatever.
Sergeant Kabuki Man. Yeah.
Sergeant Kabuki Man. Yeah. What's up, Snow?
This version of Toxic Avenger is not a 4K, although it comes from the 4K master. It also does have the international and director's cut on it. I'm trying to remember if those were on the 4K or not. They weren't in 4K, that's for sure, but I think this is supposed to have a bunch of exclusive extras, so I'd have to compare and contrast. But yeah, Cannibal the Musical will be the first time available in high def. Yep.
That's interesting.
So hopefully it's not just an up convert.
Yeah, hopefully. Hopefully. MON, that spells Steelbook. Yes, there's an exclusive The Stand Steelbook coming. Or it's out already, I believe. So if you guys want to pick that up, there's that. I think that was about it for releases, as far as I can
Did
tell.
you get I Love Lucy? and
Yes, I got the I Love Lucy on
Deadpool,
Blu-ray.
Wolverine.
Deadpool Wolverine. Yep.
Yeah. Happy Gilmore.
Oh no, I did not get Happy Gilmore. Did not get Happy Gilmore. That surprised me too, because Happy Gilmore is coming from Kino Lorber on 4K. So that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
We're supposed to get I was gonna say Umbrella is announcing something they just did, but no. Lars and the Real Girl. I knew about all these already. So there was another one that I think was it I think Arrow's supposed to be announcing something later on today too.
Yeah,
Did they do their announcement
Friday.
yet?
They're doing theirs Friday.
Is it tomorrow? Okay.
Friday, yeah.
And I think a lot of people think it might be Dragnet in 4K.
Yeah, I did see they had the badge.
Yeah.
I do know the is it available now? I don't. Let me check real quick. If you're a fan of full moon movies, the Ginger Dead Man series is coming to a big Blu-ray box set coming. I'm trying to figure out when it's due out. I know they just announced it, but I don't remember what they said the date was. But anyway, it's all the Ginger Dead movies and the Gingerweed Man on Blu-ray in a cookie tin. Comes in a cookie tin of all the movies from Full Moon Features. So that's coming for this October. If you're into that type of stuff, which you know I am. So yeah, there's that. Saw the Umbrella did announce their January. You got the Lars and the Real Girl, Creed.
Yeah, there wasn't much else that I really heard of in there, so I don't know if there's much that people will be interested in, but yeah.
Yeah, I just think maybe that because Ryan Gosling was in that one. I think that's it. I think we got everything. Oh, Hot Pursuit is coming from Kino Lorber.
Is it?
Yeah, it's a Blu-ray, but it's coming from a 4K scan of the 35mm original camera. So
that means Paramount will put out a 4K before long.
Probably.
So I don't even know if that has a Blu-ray, to be honest. I got the DVD of that.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. I don't think it does have a Blu-ray at all.
It has.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that covers it. All right. I've got 3 picks tonight. Steven's got 3. How many you got, Tom?
I have technically 6, but like 5 of them are pretty much in the same vein. So however I do this, I guess.
Okay. All right. Well, since Steven's the new one here, let's just go ahead and start with him. What do you got for us, Steven? Yeah.
All right. Well, I was watching the movie Afraid the other night.
What movie?
Yes, I know. Laugh now.
No, what movie were you afraid of?
Yeah, well, afraid of what?
I was afraid of the movie Afraid because I realized while I was watching it that it was basically just Upgrade light. And Upgrade is the much better made film, I think. And this is written and directed by Lee Winnell, starring Logan Marshall Green. And he's basically kind of your regular Joe. He's the analog guy in the world that's filled with technology. He and his wife meet this kind of Bill Gates and Mark Zuckerberg and Steve Jobs kind of guy. He's all rolled up into one. And because he is restoring a classic car for this guy. On their way home, they are attacked by this gang. She's killed. He's paralyzed. The tech guru visits him in the hospital, says, I have this chip that I have created, and it can make you walk again. So he installs the chip, and then the chip starts talking to him.
Yeah, I've seen this.
And basically it is a movie very much about the perils of AI. And
I would say it's better Venom movie than Venom.
yeah, it's a better Venom movie than Venom, and it's a pretty damn good Death Wish movie too, in a way.
Yeah, it's a bit like that, yeah.
Yeah, interesting film. I don't want to give it away for people who haven't seen it, but that ending hits you right between the eyes. I was not expecting it when I first saw this movie. So I very, very highly recommend Upgrade. Goes back a few years. It's good. It's a good film. Great fight scenes. I don't know how they did it. I don't want to know how they did it.
It's probably Lee Wannell's best film.
Oh, by far.
I know he's butchering the Wolfman, and I've heard things about that movie. People are not going to be happy.
Yeah. Well, I try not to get too hyped up for the newer movies anymore.
Me neither.
Which is kind of a shame, but that's the world we're living in right now. But there was a time when they made good movies.
Yeah, there was.
And can be picked up for. Yeah, it was pretty fairly priced when it first released too. I think I got it for under 20. So
yeah,
I got to think it's even less than that now.
The Blu-ray, yes. I mean, if you're going to buy the 4K through a shit factory, it's outrageously priced.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, I haven't seen the 4K.
I don't think it's a movie that needs a 4K.
No, it actually doesn't. I think it's just fine.
Speaking of a movie that didn't really need a 4K, I didn't watch the movie, but I watched it for like 2 seconds, and I took it out because it looks exactly like the Blu-ray. Arrow's Friday the 13th remake.
Oh, the 2009.
Yeah, it doesn't look a lick different than the Blu-ray. And that Blu-ray is old as fuck.
Yeah,
because it's 2K interpositive. But anyway, sorry, Steven.
No, I completely get it. I mean, there are some movies where I've noticed the difference between the Blu-ray and the 4K. And I again understand I don't have a 4K set. I just have my old set from before. So, but still pick out differences in quality between a 4K and a regular Blu-ray. So they're like, oh, but this looks great. It's almost like I'm watching a movie for the first time. And then there are other cases where I'm like, the hell is this? I should have just saved my money and just stuck with the Blu-ray.
Yeah.
But yeah, because Upgrade is one of those movies, and stay with me for a minute on this. It's one of those movies that I can imagine renting on VHS back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
It does have this kind of grindhouse feel to it in sections, especially with some of the violence, which is just gloriously over the top. I love it. I remember when the Red Band trailer came out and the reaction to that. So that's what it reminds me of. It's one of those movies that a friend of mine used to call pizza and a beer type of a movie, where you could sit down on a Saturday night, back in the day when you used to rent like 3 or 4 movies and watch them over the weekend. And I can imagine doing that with Upgrade,
Getting some pizza and beer.
Great. Pizza and beer, and just watch this kick-ass, gory, hour-and-a-half, one-off movie.
Nice.
That gets downright fucking apocalyptic by the end of it. But
it's a crazy movie.
Yeah, it gets crazy.
Yeah.
But I love it to death. It was one of my favorite movies of that year, if not my favorite movie. So,
nice.
I very highly recommend Upgrade.
All right. Cool. Yeah, it is. I actually do like it. It's one of the few newer type of movies that I actually do like. So yeah, it is a good movie. Good first choice there, Steven. Good one. Um, I don't know. You got anything else you want to say? I was just thinking about like what Rookie would do right now. It's just he was
He'd
just
probably come up with Camp Nowhere or something.
some goofy shit. All right, but do you got any final words on Upgrade before we move on?
No. If you do not have a copy of it, pick it up. You don't need the 4K. The Blu-ray looks and sounds just fine. You're good enough with that. So, you can, wherever you go to buy Blu-ray, if it's there, get it. Yeah, buy it, watch it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All
And
right.
hello, Boba
Well,
Fett.
yes. All righty then. Let's go to you, Tom, if you're ready for your first pick of the night.
All right. Yay. So I watched The Bad Boys.
Bad Boys.
They Ride It or Died It. We already talked about the movie quite a bit, so
Yeah.
what this does have is an all-new post-credit scene. So that's kind of fun-ish.
Oh, really? They added a new
Yeah, because there wasn't at the end of the movie in the theaters, and I'm like, oh, okay. There's a couple special features on here, but nothing really to brag about. What's cool though is that this is a 4K from beginning to end, and it looks good, sounds great. Nice looking steelbook here.
Yeah, I do like the colors on that. The pop.
In fact, I mean, either side works really well for a cover.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then internally, you just get them again on the side there.
Nice.
And, the car is underneath the other side there. But yeah, no, the movie's fun. I know the Walmart was the steelbook I think was a Walmart exclusive. I'm not 100% on that, but I don't know if you can still get your hands on it or not. But yeah, no, overall, yeah, it looks pretty good. Yeah. Sounds good. It was a lot of fun. Like I said, we've already talked about the movie quite a bit, so I don't really see the sense in, getting too deep into it. I don't even know if Steven's seen it or not, or I don't think you have, Greg.
I haven't. I still need to see the third one and the fourth one, so I still need to see them. I need to get to them. All right. Well, Bad Boys. What you gonna do? Pick it up. It looks great on 4K, and that is. I do like that steelbook. It looked pretty sharp. I like the colors, the way it bounces off of that.
Yeah, it looks really nice, and it's got a nice sheen to it.
Yeah.
Can read it on the side. That's always a plus for me. That's usually one of my biggest complaints about steelbooks is not being able to read the movie title. So, no. Yeah, you can see it pretty well even in the small. So
yeah, you can see it. Well, it's good that like the white pops off the purple or
that's
whatever.
What I mean. Yeah, it's like a purplish blue.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is kind of more of a purple. But yeah, no, it's overall, I mean, what can I say about the movie we haven't said already? I don't want to get too deep into it because you haven't even seen part 3, so.
Yeah. No, I've heard it was really good. I've heard the
it kind of picks up
pretty good.
Pretty much right where part 3 leaves off, kind of. Yeah. To a point. So no, yeah, the last 2 movies have been really fun. Love or hate Will Smith. This movie definitely also kind of plays into the whole slap business a little bit. Mm-hmm. So check it out. It's worth it.
He needed a little something to help him.
It's one of those almost reference quality kind of newer movies on 4K because Sony generally does a pretty good job, and just the the fancy locales and all that kind of stuff. It does pop. Pretty nice. So.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. Like I said, I always liked Martin, so I do need to see those 2 movies.
He is funny as shit in this one.
That's what I heard. I've heard he's really really good.
Yeah, some of the stuff. Because, like, not to get too deep into it, but, like, I think they even showed it in the preview, so it's not much of a spoiler, and I think we brought it up before, but, like, he has a heart attack in the beginning of the movie, and he claims that, when he was on the other side, he was told by the old chief that it wasn't his time, so he thinks he can't die. So the roles have now been reversed. You got Martin Lawrence acting a fool, doing all the crazy stunts and action shit kind of thing, and just throwing caution to the wind, while Will Smith's character's on the other end having like panic attacks and shit. Now he's starting to act like Martin Lawrence, so he's worried about everything. So it's kind of cool. They found a way to kind of flip the script without it being,
like
too obvious
formulaic or something.
Yeah, formulaic or however you want to put it.
Yeah. That's cool. All right. Well, if you, I guess we can move on to me if that's the final say so on.
Yeah, no, there's not
one.
much else I can say about it. I haven't watched any of the special features yet. I mean, it does have a few things on it, like deleted scenes and bloopers and some other stuff, but I just haven't got around to it. So
Well, at least they gave you special features. That's becoming a rarity anymore.
it is. That's true.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, I guess we'll go to me, and I'll get this one out of the way early because this is my non-horror pick, and it just felt right to watch, and that is Conspiracy Theory.
Oh, I haven't seen that one in a tick.
I know, like I hadn't.
I don't
seen
even
it
know if I have that on
ever.
Blu-ray.
With Mel Gibson and Julia Roberts.
You've never seen that before?
No, I've seen it. I actually saw this in the theaters. When
I thought you just said I've never seen it. Like
no, I've seen it. No, I hadn't seen it in a while because you said I hadn't seen it in a tick, and I was like, me neither. I haven't seen it in a while.
Oh, you must have said forever. I thought you said never.
Yeah, I haven't seen. Yeah,
Okay.
but yeah, I certain reasons, just that felt like watching Conspiracy Theory. It's a fun movie. Richard Donner directs it. Mel Gibson just like eats up the movie. He's great in the movie. I do think after watching it this time, I feel like Julia Roberts is a bit miscast, and that it maybe feels a little more like a Sandra Bullock role, I want to say. And the love story between them really doesn't work as much as it should. It doesn't like work. But so the plot of the movie is basically Mel Gibson is this cab driver, and he just constantly spouts off all of these conspiracy theories. And Richard Donner does a great job directing this movie. And maybe one of his conspiracy theories is accurate. So like the shady government agencies start coming after him with the bad ones led by Patrick Stewart, who's the bad guy of the film. He starts, chasing him down, and Julia Roberts plays a woman, like a lawyer who works at the Justice Department, and he keeps coming to her every day, trying to tell her his theories and everything like that. And so they get into this big old like political intrigue, thriller type situation, and that's where it all leads to being chased and everything. And it's almost like an X-Men movie, because Mel Gibson is almost like Wolverine and Deadpool as one person. Have a memory. He's constantly running his mouth. He's constantly running his mouth, right? He falls in love with a brainy redhead. And so it's almost like an X-Men movie, sort of in a way, even with Patrick Stewart. So yeah, that's the extent of the thing. And speaking of like, it's amazing to listen to some of the conspiracy theories that are rattled off in this movie and how they pertain to today, because a lot of them are still sort of in the air. Like the whole thing is like he was experimenting on using the MK Ultra, which to drive people sort of insane so that he would be an assassin. So that's his whole thing, is like they're training him to be an assassin, and he doesn't remember. He doesn't remember anything. But one of my favorite theories that they spouted off in this movie, which was at the time when you hear it, especially since this came out in 97, it plays like a joke. But when you think about it, because I've been thinking about it far too much after I heard it, it's been in my head. This makes sense, right? So one of the theories in his conspiracy theory newsletter that he puts out is that George Bush, not George W. Bush, George Bush is a puppet for Oliver Stone for the powers that be. Like Oliver Stone is like directing George Bush as the president, and stuff. What's funny about that is Oliver Stone directed the George W. Bush biopic starring Josh Brolin. He directed that. And also, what's mentioned multiple times in the movie, John Hinckley, who attempted to assassinate Ronald Reagan. I got to be careful when I say what on YouTube here, especially talking about this. The Hinckley family were friends with the Bush family. So it's kind of weird. That's kind of weird. Just leave it at that. I'll just leave it at that. But no, it's a fun movie. I would say, the pacing in this movie is a little rough. I get why some people thought it was a disappointment. I get it. And all Hail Dragonzilla glad to have you with them. See, get some other stuff here. Yeah, nowadays too many. Yeah, you see that. Rex, he's the bad guy, and he actually plays a really good bad guy because he plays a very sinister. You think him going up against like Mel Gibson. Once again, it's like a bald British guy is going to be the captain of the starship. That'll never work. We get Picard, and he was awesome, right? And then you say, "Oh, bald guy," which he doesn't have the British accent in this because he's supposed to be American, so he's doing his American accent. But like this,
you kind of get a reversal of the whole, there are four lights thing in this. Only this time, it's Patrick Stewart doing the interrogating. That this.
Yeah.
I didn't have anything to go with that. It was just
no.
Sorry.
No. It's fun. I mean,
how to ruin the flow of a show in one easy lesson. Sorry, go ahead.
No, it's better than Rookie. No, it's I had not seen it in ages, and I just really, I pulled it off the shelf, and I was like, I need to watch this. I would say it's not the thinking man's political thriller. It's really not the thinking man's political thriller, but it's a really fun movie. I had fun with it because, like I said, Mel Gibson is great in the movie. He's just doing his Mel Gibson self, being crazy, stupid, saying stuff. Richard Donner's directing it. This is the only other movie they made besides Maverick. Was it Maverick? Was he directed?
Yeah, and Lethal Weapons.
Yeah. This is the only other movie besides the Lethal Weapons that he did, because he did Maverick and this movie with Mel Gibson. And that was the only other movies they have. What's sad about this is there's no special features whatsoever on this Blu-ray. It's just the movie. And I would love to know some of the behind-the-scenes stuff on this. And I know there is a deleted or a blooper that they've showed before in the past on I can't remember where, but I
remember it was a pretty early DVD that came out.
So I don't know if there's anything on the DVD though. So
I don't think it was. That's what was my point. Is I think it was pretty early on, and it was just pretty basic movie only kind of disc.
Yeah, but I know there's a blooper where in the movie, Julia Roberts is being tailed by one of the, the government Gibson's in the back, and he's telling her, and she stops, and he pulls up beside her, and she talks to him. Well, in the blooper, what they did, they replaced the actor with Danny Glover. So when the guy drives up beside her and she looks over, it's Danny Glover, and they didn't know it, and they all have a big laugh. So yeah, so there's that blooper is out there online. You can watch it, but it's not on the Blu-ray or the DVD. So I would love to have gotten some special features. But no, if you've not seen Conspiracy Theory, especially in today's day and age with what's going on and all that, but there are some interesting tidbits in this movie and funny to hear. And with certain situations going on, you might have fun with this movie. But that was my non-horror movie for the night because I just felt like watching that. Would you rather Mel Gibson do Lethal Weapon 5 or Patch? I think he's doing both.
Yeah, it's funny because, I was going to say this actually just come out today. He said it's a toss-up right now. He doesn't know which one's going to get off the ground first at this point in time.
Oh, that's what he said.
So he finally addressed it, even though people have been recycling the same interview for like the last year and a half, 2 years. And I kept telling people, this is from like 2021.
Yeah, they keep bringing it up every once in a while.
Nothing has happened since.
Part of me would say, yeah, do the Lethal Weapon 5, but also part of me is like, Richard Donner's gone, and part 4 had a pretty decent ending. Maybe leave it at that. And then Passion of the Christ. What cracks me up about that is like, you could tell so many people do not have ever read the Bible or know the true story of Jesus. Like, how can there be a sequel? Isn't he dead? It's like, do you know what happened? Do you know he rose from the grave 3 days later and spent like a couple days on earth before he ascended?
So there is kind of a famous Sam Kinison bit about this whole thing.
Yes, I think I remember.
Can you imagine Jesus having a wife? That's why he never got married. Take off with a bunch of guys for 2 weeks at a time. Where the hell were you? Then one time he's like, you were gone for like 3 days. I fucking died. I was dead. And I came back just to tell you.
I miss Sam Kinison, a comedian like that.
My other favorite one is just like, yeah, you got all these people out there in the middle of the desert starving. Yeah, it's all the little kids and oh yeah, no. Quit sending them food. That's right. Fuck them. That's right. Send them U-Hauls. Send them to where the food is. Have you been to the desert? Nothing grows there. See this? Yeah, it's nice. It's sand. Yeah, he's not. It's gonna grow. It's sand.
I remember
Go where the food grows. Oh. You know, he's just. Oh man.
I remember that joke. I remember that one. That was great. Oh, that was great.
Like, give the kid a sandwich. Like, no, give him a U-Haul. Get him the fuck out of there. Can you imagine Jesus? Oh fuck, I can't deal with this shit again. just sacrifice me already. Just put me on the cross.
The wife.
You're married, you know.
Yeah. I honestly, I'd rather him not do either movie. I'd like to see him start doing some fresh stuff. But I mean,
honestly, well, either or at this point, I'm fine with. I want to see Lethal Weapon 5, but I'm not so much worried about him. I'm more worried about what Danny Glover looks like at this point. Like, what he's gonna do in it, because it's like motherfucker's damn near death, so he's gonna be Papa in it. And
yeah.
Clearly it's going to be a passing of the torch anyway, from what I heard, because he's basically going to do what they were planning on with Richard Donner, because it was set up. Because I'm assuming Richard knew that he didn't have a whole lot of time left, and he had set it up to where Mel was supposed to take over if he didn't. So, and the storyline sounds like it's going to have Butters, and it's going to be about the two kids that were born, or at least one of the kids I think is going to end up being a cop or whatever, and it's probably going to cross over somewhere with Mel Gibson's character in Butters. So Butters will kind of sit in the Danny Glover role most likely.
Well, I figured maybe
Chris Rock's character.
That. But I figured like maybe Gibson would be like the Danny Glover type because he's too old for this shit now.
But Butters was always kind of a, from my memory, he was kind of a tight ass too, because so I can see it kind of switching, him being the more kind of responsible role. And I'm assuming it's also might be like part of the story is probably going to be about Mel Gibson getting close to retirement age too.
Yeah.
Or they're trying to force him to retire or something like that is probably part of it.
Yeah. That's how it goes. But part 4 had a good ending. Part 5, if done right with Mel Gibson as director, could be interesting. And so many people don't realize how you can make a sequel to Passion of Christ. It boggles my mind.
Oh, yeah.
That's just like,
he
really boggles my mind.
I guess the issue he's running into is getting funding for it partially, but not so much that as he wants to make it. It's such a big story that it might end up being 2 movies.
Yeah.
So it might end up being Passion of the Christ 2 and 3. So
kind of like the Kevin Costner Horizon thing.
Kind of. And it is supposed to encompass the whole story of him going to hell and coming back and all that kind of shit. Yeah.
Yeah. Because people don't realize, like I said, once again, people don't realize everything. Anyways, that's besides. But anyways, if you've never seen,
I'm just more worried about Caviezel being able to pull off the age difference at this point. He looks pretty good for his age, but I don't know. It's been a couple of years. I don't know. I haven't watched Passion of the Christ in about 2-3 years. So
yeah, it's been a while. But yeah, there you go. But if you're not seeing Conspiracy Theory, I do recommend it. Like I said, it's not the thinking man's political thriller. I do feel like Julia Roberts
being a surprise hit.
Yeah, it actually dethroned Air Force One. So, but one of the things I know Richard Donner complained about is it's rated R. This movie should not be rated R. There's like very little cussing, hardly any blood whatsoever. I'm sure he shot it as
PG-13 and
I remember
anyway.
Yeah, like
because this came out in the era when they started changing what PG-13 could be.
I think they said he got an R rating for the final showdown between him, Mel Gibson, and Patrick Stewart.
He probably refused to cut it, or he cut it enough already, and he's like, I ain't cutting it anymore.
Yeah. But it's a good movie. It's fun. I still feel like maybe Sandra Bullock would have been a better actress for this. I don't know. It just feels like it back in the day, or like the roles that she played.
Maybe she might have been a little young yet, though, at that time.
Actually, I thought that same thing. I thought that same thing, and I looked up the ages. Sandra Bullock is older than Julia Roberts.
Really?
Yeah, she's 60, and Julia Roberts is 56. Julia Roberts was
I didn't know
29 in
that.
this movie.
Mm.
So Sandra Bullock was.
I always thought Sandra was a little younger. Yeah, 'cause
Me
she
too.
came after, so yeah.
I was thinking, well, she was in Speed, and she looks like she's a young college girl. Well, not a movie. Well, not like that young, but you know what I mean.
Yeah,
Like,
early 20s. Yeah, I was
Yeah.
thinking, yeah,
And
mid at
then
most.
I looked it up after I watched the movie. Like, holy shit, she's 60, and Julia Roberts is 56.
Yeah, learn something
So
every day.
it surprised me.
Which
but
one looks
yeah.
60 and which one looks, yeah,
Yeah.
that's the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Anyway,
it was-
I don't think I have that one on Blu-ray because I know I haven't seen it in years. So
It actually looks pretty good. The scan of it, I don't know what.
kind of surprised.
It looks pretty good. So I enjoyed it. I had fun with it. It was just I hadn't seen that probably since the 90s, and I was like, yeah, they don't make movies. They really don't make movies like that anymore. So all right, let's go to you, Steven. What do you got for us for your next pick of the night?
What other weird shit we got?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Well, this movie is definitely the definition of weird shit. We have the movie The Substance out right now. Body horror film. It's getting compared to the Cronenberg. You have the whole motif of the two lead characters sort of, I guess, switching bodies or switching places for a certain period of time. And that got me thinking of Possessor, which is directed by Brandon Cronenberg, David Cronenberg's son. And it's the story of an assassin who basically possesses the body of a certain individual to get close to her target, murder the target, and then poof, they fuck off and leave the person they've been possessing holding the bag, and they wind up getting taken down by the police or, the bodyguards of, the target that they've taken out. And while she's on her most recent mission, it's Andrea Riseborough who stars, and she possesses Christopher Abbott. And the thing is, instead of fully embodying him, things that are happening in her life are starting to bleed through, and vice versa. And they come of one another. And that's where things start to get sticky. And yeah, Joey, in a lot of ways, kind of like The Hidden, but not really. That was more of a parasite. This is more like the title says, Possessor. It's more of a possession thing. And a lot of body horror, a lot of straight up horror. Very psychological too, because they're both kind of broken people. She has this family background that is not great, because she's in the middle of this marriage that's failing. She's trying to maintain a relationship with her child, but since she's gone all of the time, she's starting to lose touch with him. Sean Bean is in it. Yes, yeah. And
does he die?
Believe it or not, he actually doesn't.
Nice.
Where his character goes in that movie is very interesting, because it's not, he doesn't wind up where you think he's going to. He's the target of the assassination. And Christopher Abbott's character, who is this ex-drug addict, is trying to stay sober, and he's kind of on that line of, he could go either way. He could fall back into his addiction, and he could not. And you never really, that's kind of one of the issues in the film. And he has gotten involved with Sean Bean's daughter. So he's going to, so the idea is that they're going to use him and get close to Sean Bean and take out Sean Bean. And that goes sideways. And we're off and running. And very creepy. And I do, despite the fact that it's very graphic, I do suggest seeing the uncut version, because the R-rated version kind of cuts the guts out of the film. And it does go into, he is his father's son, it does go into that very Cronenbergian, not only who are you, what are you, what am I now? Who am I going to be 5 minutes from now? Am I a man? Am I a woman? Am I an assassin? Am I a mother? And you got, it gets very, very intense, very psychological, very gory. No one is safe, and this is not a safe space movie. I don't know how much I can talk about without really giving too much of it away, but because it's very labyrinthian. You have the assassination plot, you have the body horror plot. Who is this organization? Who are creating these assassins? That gets interesting. The inner workings of that, and who can you trust? And you really start to wonder, how are they finding these people who are the assassins? You have the assassins possessing someone's body, and sort of this kind of death by remote control. It's very Videodrome in that fashion. But you start to wonder, were these people who are the assassins, were they assassins to begin with? Or are they people who are just being themselves mind controlled? Because you have that whole, there's a scene, and I'm not giving this away because it's in the first few minutes, where they sort of deprogram the assassin after they do a hit. It's like, okay, now we have to bring you back into quote unquote the real world. We've got it. All right, you've done this mission. Now we've got to take you back to your family, psychologically, not just physically, but also psychologically. And that's when I watched this movie the first time, I was starting to wonder, where did they find this woman? She's not military, she's not like a cop or anything. She doesn't particularly have any weapons training. Where did they get her from? How did she end up in the middle of this organization? And it's just, there's a lot of layers to this thing, and it's creepy. It's very much that kind of matrixy, welcome to the real world, and are these two people going to be able to wake up from the nightmare they found themselves in?
Nah.
It's an interesting film.
I've never seen it. So I can't talk much on it.
I think you might dig it.
I'll have to get into. I have to see it. Check it out.
Yeah, but like I said, see the uncut version. Stay away from the R-rated.
Interesting, because All right. Another weird one tonight, Steven. At least not as weird as Rookies. I'll give you that much. At least At least it's something worth listening about. Yeah, I'll be going with that.
Joey says sounds like Dollhouse. It's kind of like an R-rated Dollhouse. Yeah. Really, kind of an NC-17 Dollhouse, really. But yeah, it does have elements of that, because again, you are kind of erasing people's memories, and then they are starting to remember. It's interesting stuff. Very, very creepy, but very well done.
All right, cool.
Yeah,
cool. All right, Tom, what do you got for us? What's your next pick of the night, if you're ready?
Well, how many does everybody else have?
I have 2 left.
And how about you?
I think Steven's got 1.
Okay, yeah. So I'll probably combine a couple here. All right, I think I've shared this one before anyway, so we can we just talked about it not too long ago with Rookie, but I actually watched it this time with the Philip Glass score.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, and that score does not know how to get out of the way of the movie. So I'll never do that again. But yeah, no, it's a classic, of course.
Mm-hmm.
So if you haven't picked it up yet, you should. But I also checked out this 1970 version of Dracula called Count Dracula.
Oh, with Christopher
and it does
Lee.
have Christopher Lee in it, but it's not a Hammer horror film. It's actually directed by Jess Franco.
It's a Jess Franco movie.
Yeah, and it's actually a pretty good adaptation of the story. It actually has Klaus Kinski in it too. And,
nice.
Yeah, looks really good. From a discovered negative looks. I mean, it's in rough shape, but it's still pretty good looking. Sound wise, it could have used a little bit of work with the sound, but no, it's a fun film. I haven't watched. It's got tons and tons of extras now. I haven't watched any of them. Even has the soundtrack. So it was a pretty hefty collectible from Severin. But yeah, no, it's a really good adaptation of the story, to be honest with you. Fairly faithful.
I don't think I've seen this one.
Yeah.
Is Christopher Lee still he's Dracula in it?
Yeah. It's a straight up, adaptation of the book.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it's its own Dracula. It's not like attached to any of the other Draculas or anything like that. And it's pretty self-contained. Tells the story in 97 minutes. There's a few spots where it does the 70s kind of lingers, but no, overall though, it is probably one of the more tighter, well put together versions of the story. I would say it does take a few liberties, but not nearly as drastic as some of the others as far as that goes.
Yeah.
So I don't know if either one of you have ever seen it before. But...
No, I've not seen that one.
No.
Yeah.
I was one Severn though.
It almost feels like a TV movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's not, but it is very tame as far as like that goes, and how it was shot and everything. But no, overall, I can recommend it.
Oh, that's cool. I was gonna say, because usually with the Jess Franco movie, there's a lot of nudity, shall we say?
I don't remember there being any nudity in this one.
So that's interesting, because I've yet to see one where
maybe there was, and I don't remember it. Because it was pretty. I mean, trying to recall, I don't think there was. I don't see a rating here at all. So
that's good. Yeah. No, I have that. Yeah, Jess Franco
it wasn't like it was shot during the era they couldn't or anything like that. It just, I think they made it pretty much probably, unless I'm just totally misremembering that there wasn't. I don't remember any chicks getting naked in it.
No. I mean, that's fine. I just usually he made some really weird movies, like with that involved. No, but I've been wanting to pick this one up.
Pretty straightforward. Like I said, it is probably one of the more straightforward Dracula adaptations I've ever seen in my life.
Nice.
Like the only things I think I remember them flipping around from the book is, trying to think here. There was like the doctors, like in the book, I believe Dr. Seward or whatever his name is, he has like a stroke or a heart attack in the book. And then in this movie, they have Van Helsing have the stroke, and he just ends up in a wheelchair. But I believe in the book, Seward dies at that point, if I'm not mistaken. It's been years since I've read the book.
I think maybe high school was the last time I read the book.
So yeah, like, but just from my memory, this is one of the more straightforward, just basic adaptations. Like, I don't remember much being changed. The only thing, which is funny, the only thing I think that stuck out to me that was different is they didn't, like, when they kill Lucy, they do chop her head off. They don't show it, but they have like this, you know, like one quick moment where he makes a husband chop her head off, and then they just show a shot of like blood at her neck, like he did.
Oh, yeah.
But when he does it to Dracula, he doesn't, which he should, and he does in the book. And this is one of the closest ones I've seen to where in the book, because like for those who don't know, like unlike most movies, in the book, Jonathan and his friend, Lucy's husband, or whatever, they just combined the two here, but I think it was another character in the book, because I think her husband was somebody else in the book. They actually go out on this like quest to try and find Dracula and do all this shit. And they have all that in this version. That's not in most of the versions. While basically, at the same time, Van Helsing's just sitting there with Mina as bait, basically, for Dracula. Like, and that's in this version, which is very rare, because it's like not in many of the other versions. So I was like, oh, okay, so they actually have that part too, because that's why, like, I totally forgot about that, because they actually go and they make it. They kind of show it here, pretty much basically the same way, because they go to his abbey, and they go to all the graves or the coffins, and they kill all the vampire, the brides, and then they line his coffin with wafers. In this version, he just blesses the coffin, I think, but it's still like just the fact that they had all that in there. I'm just like, wow, they actually, because usually at that point the story dips from, they totally start just kind of ignoring Jonathan and all that shit and go into the, you know, Mina story with the Dracula and try to make it all about romance and shit like that at that point.
Yeah.
When really it's just Dracula's just stalking her, and that's really all it mainly is. There's not much of a romance to it. It's
he's just trying to get some food, basically.
Kind of, yeah. I mean, and then you got the guys out there trying to stop him in the meantime, basically. Yeah. That's I'm gonna have to get that one. I've been wanting to. But I also like, because they actually made it more, I mean, it's in the original film, but they don't really. I forgot how much it was a part of the movie, because they don't do a real good job of letting you know where it's at. But like, I like how this movie actually makes a big deal out of the Abbey being next door to the nut house. Yeah. Where Renfield and all those guys are at. Because that's a big part of the story too that's kind of overlooked. And I mean, they mention that that's where they're at in the original Dracula, and they're like, we're going to leave at some point, and he tells them they're going to stay, but like, it just kind of, everything happens so fast in the original Dracula, the way it's really just kind of compressed. Because I just watched it again today for, like I said, for the, you know, with the score. And I'm just like, gosh, I don't remember them jumping through so much of the story compared to the other one I just watched, and what they managed to fit in 97 minutes compared to an hour and 14 minutes in the original version. So like, yeah, it's just kind of like, it was like, wow, I'm surprised they got that much into a 97-minute movie. Yeah. And it does feel very much like it was set up to be a possible TV movie almost. That's why I think it might have been a little tamer, to where I think they were hoping that they could sell it one way or the other. But I think it's been one of those movies that was really hard to come by, I guess, or something like that for a while.
I would believe so. I mean, that's interesting. A lot of that Jess Franco stuff is, a lot of it has been discovered, I guess, here lately, because I've noticed that a lot of his movies are getting new Blu-rays and 4Ks lately.
Yeah, it even says right here on the back, in early 2023, a Madrid film archivist made a startling discovery: the uncut camera negative of Count Dracula that had been untouched for 50 years.
Yeah. I gotta get.
So I don't know what version's been out there. If there's like been a cut down version that's been out there for all these years or what. The Frank Langella one, it's fine. It's fun. That one's more of a remake of this one here. Clearly,
yeah, the Bela Lugosi one.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously more of a straight up remake of that one. But
well, I can tell you, my mom liked it.
Oh, she liked this one? Christopher Lee one?
The Frank Langella.
Oh, the Frank
Frank
Langella.
Langella. All the women like that one.
Yeah.
Yes.
What about the George Hamilton one?
I love the nightlife. I love the boogie.
Yeah, I saw that version recently. It's
Everybody's
fun.
seen that one.
Yeah.
No, it's really cool because this also is one of the few times up until Bram Stoker's Coppola Dracula where they actually have Dracula get younger. Because because I noticed at first, I'm like, God damn, they got Christopher Lee in a really bad wig and mustache. And I'm like, he need to grow a mustache. Why do they? And then I realized, because then later on, he's got black hair once he gets to London.
Mm-hmm.
He's all like, they make him look younger and shit. So I'm like, oh, they actually went, oh, okay. I'm like, all right, never mind. I take that back. I see what you're doing. Okay.
They did it. They did it. The sons of bitches
Well,
did it.
it was like, yeah, okay. So they acknowledged it because, like, in the book, that's kind of the way it is. He's kind of this old, crusty dude when he first sees Jonathan.
Mm-hmm.
And then by the time he gets to London, he's younger looking or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
They really play that up in the Coppola version, but yeah.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah.
Big time. Yeah. I'm going to have to do that.
He gets super sexy in the Coppola version, of course.
He does.
Well, and I just found out yesterday or earlier today, I can't remember which, one of the two, and I was just perusing some videos. I think it was yesterday. I never knew they reshot the entire ending and had to do a bunch of reshoots last minute for Dracula.
Oh, really?
The Bram Stoker one. I didn't know about this. The writer was doing some interview, and I happened to catch a few minutes of it, and he was talking about how Coppola panicked because they had a couple test screenings, and they tested real bad.
Mm.
And the studio was freaking out because this was their big Christmas movie that year.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's like, we got to do something here. We got to fix this. So he called the writer up, and he's like, I need you to get out here right away, and blah, 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 blah. So they get out there, and he's like, well, the problem is we didn't really need to reshoot anything per se besides the ending. Because the original ending in the movie was, I guess, closer to the book. It was Jonathan who kills Dracula and instead of Lucy.
Mina.
Or Mina, I mean. Yeah. They changed the names in the original films or whatever it was, so I always get them crisscrossed. But are you sure she's not called Lucy? And you sure they don't call Winona Ryder Lucy?
I think she's Mina.
No, she's Mina.
She Mina? I couldn't remember. I thought that was one of the ones they flipped it again, but
let me check.
Either way. So like in the original version, he gets killed just like he does basically in the book. Head chopped off, stake through the heart, garlic in the mouth, all that business.
Mm-hmm.
And Mina's like not even part of the story anymore at that point. So they found out what the test audience was pissed about was that they wanted Mina and Dracula to get together. And so he's like, well, the writer goes, well, what you've done now is you've made Dracula the hero without realizing.
Oh.
Yeah.
So he's like, now we got to reshoot the entire ending. And then he goes, then we didn't have to shoot anything else, but we had to fill in blanks. Because basically from here on now, that's basically the story is it's a tragic love story of Dracula is kind of the good guy in the story at the end of the day. He just finally got his revenge or whatever you want to call it from way back when. So that's kind of the way they redeveloped it into the ending we have where the two of them die together or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
So that was the thing is like the audience will be happy. They don't care if they die as long as they die together. Right. Like that's the thing.
Just get them to die together in the lover's arms.
Yeah.
They gave him the Romeo and Juliet ending. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That version of the movie, that version of the story only works if she kills him at the end. It has to be her.
Yeah.
Because they even have Jonathan say it. It's up to her now.
That's
one of the reshoots
because she has to make that decision.
Because they weren't even sure they were going to be able to get everybody back. Because you got to remember, this is when Winona Ryder and Keanu Reeves were two of the hottest fucking actors in the world. And the beauty of it, they said, is how well they did. You wouldn't know it was reshot. And I never knew. And normally I could tell when something was
neither
reshot.
did I.
They said, because the writer said that they did such a good job and they knew exactly what they had to do as soon as he watched it. Because he goes, Francis was so distraught. He didn't even want to watch it again. So he forced me to watch it by myself. And he goes, and for some reason, there was like 3 Romanian girls there who couldn't speak a lick of English. And I think he was just doing it for atmosphere.
Nice.
Because I tried
Sure.
making conversation before the movie, and they couldn't understand me. And he's like, so I watched the movie, and I'm like, yeah, that's what I figured out by the end. I'm like, you made Dracula the hero. That's the problem.
I've traveled across oceans.
And just because of what, and they kind of already had an idea from the testing that, yeah, they didn't like how the ending went, and they didn't like that Mina they didn't want her to be with Jonathan.
Yeah, they wouldn't. Which is crazy because, like you said, like the real Dracula, it's not really about his love for Mina at all.
No, it's just he comes. Nosferatu is actually probably one of the more accurate ones, even though there it still even kind of gets into it a little bit more. But even in the book, it's the same kind of thing. He just keeps going. He goes from Lucy to Mina to whoever, and then next thing you know, half the town's dead between Lucy and him. Because Lucy's killing a bunch of children. They even have the baby in this version. This is one of the only versions I've ever seen with the baby in it. Okay, for those who don't know, in the opening part, when Jonathan almost gets when he almost first gets bit by the brides, in the other version he just casts them away and they leave, and he just goes in and it fades out, right? And then I can't remember what I think in the Francis Ford Coppola version, he just lets the brides have him. Yeah. But in the book and in this version, he stole a baby from one of the fucking villagers and gives it to the brides so they can go eat the baby while he feeds on Jonathan. Yeah. And they have this. I'm like, holy shit, they got the baby. Because I was like, are they going to do that? Because they had a lady screaming and yelling at the windows, give me my baby back. Give me my baby back. I'm like, wait a minute. Are they going to do it? Holy shit. They did it.
The 70s, man. They didn't give it back.
I don't think that's been in any other version. Maybe that one TV version from the UK from a little while back. I don't know. I haven't seen that one yet.
No, it's in the Coppola version, the baby.
Is it in the Coppola version?
It is.
I haven't seen the Coppola one in a while. Either.
It's been a while since I watched it. Yeah, okay. So maybe it is. Like I know the Coppola version does have a lot of it's pretty close. Like it's probably the third or fourth most accurate.
Yeah.
As far as The only difference between the Coppola version is the ending, and they add the Vlad the Impaler stuff onto it.
Yeah,
the whole romance section. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the difference between Nosferatu and Dracula? Not really much. They just combine some characters. It's honestly, the original Nosferatu is closer to the book than the Lugosi Dracula is. But that's only. But I don't hold that because the Lugosi Dracula is the play. Like people need to understand. It was originally a play done on stage, so that's all they did is translate the play into a movie. So it's not even really technically an adaptation of the book; it's an adaptation of the play. To where Nosferatu is a straight up adaptation of the book. To where they just changed names of certain places and things because they're like, well, fuck it, we're not paying for this book.
Yeah. Then Bram Stoker's widow sued the shit out.
Sued him and won.
Yeah.
That's why when you see the 31 version, the Lugosi, they have these scenes. Oh, look, there's a wolf running across the as they essentially filmed a stage play. So it's kind of like it's very much you have to imagine what's there.
They get away with a lot of it, and that's how they compressed a lot of it. And that's where, and that's where I feel like this 1950s or 1970s one, it came out in 1970. This one is probably right up there. I have not seen that UK miniseries one, but that's the one that everybody pretty much maintains across the board, including Angry Video Game Nerd, is the most accurate to the book. I just haven't seen it yet.
Which one?
It's one of the only ones.
Which one?
It came out. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say with that BBC. That's one I was asking you about. When did that come out?
I want to say it was the 90s. I think. That's the one I'm thinking of.
Do you remember who stars in it?
Let me look here.
I think I remember that kind of vaguely. Yeah, hold on.
Yeah, it was a BBC miniseries. And they only changed the only thing they really changed in that one from what I remember looking up was they made Mina and Lucy sisters. This thing even has Renfield on here, considering it won.
Because I see one. I was looking at the one up here. It's got one from 2020. They have a Dracula from
92.
BBC.
That's when it was. Or no, that's Bram Stoker's. Never mind. Where is it? Oh, it's 77, not 90s.
70s.
I'm
Yeah, I was
sorry.
gonna say I just seen a 77.
They got
one.
it as number 2 on this list, but everybody else says that's the one that is more accurate.
Okay.
Yeah, because it even points out here that that's the only difference. Mainly is that Mina and Lucy are not friends but sisters.
Oh, it stars Louise Jordan. Huh. From Swamp Thing.
For
And
some reason, I
everything.
thought it was newer than 77, but that's my fault. Sorry.
But they do have a newer one from 2020. The BBC released.
That's probably what I was getting it crisscrossed with. But yeah, I just remember seeing this one pop up several times, and I just one I haven't seen yet. So
Cool.
yeah.
Well,
Many have found it unwatchably slow and dry. It's based on a fucking novel. It's a bunch of letters.
I mean, I like attention building story. I do. I'm sorry. Sometimes I like a good slow burn. So I probably wouldn't.
Is kind of
Yeah, I've read the book too, so I get what it's going.
it's
for.
more like instructions on how to tell the story
Yeah.
than it is the actual story, because it's
a lot of it's like journals and stuff too.
it is.
Right?
It's all
Yeah.
journals. It's
Yeah,
all just journal
journals
entries. So
and
a lot of
everything.
it you're kind of told in different ways, in different directions, because you get like a certain person's like entry, and then you get like Jonathan's journal entry, and then you get like I think even Lucy or Mina have like an entry, like all of them do, and then it's like, and then I think most of it's Van Helsing's entries, and then or it might even be mostly from his thing, but yeah, it's basically the idea of the book is like it was originally almost written. It was going to be a detective book, right? Like it was supposed to be like a detective trying to solve this crime, but it just ended up becoming this collection of letters instead. I don't know if it was because they just tried to avoid it becoming like a Sherlock Holmes kind of thing or what, but yeah. Oh, so how was the movie, Runner? He went to see Megalopolis.
Yeah, I heard he was going to see Megalopolis.
I'm thinking about seeing it tomorrow. I don't know. I'd have to dip out of mead probably though. I've watched bits and pieces of it. I have not watched all the way through.
Yeah,
I've heard it's in some ways a little bit better than the American one, so I just have a hard time without.
It's interesting because it's filmed on the same set, because I think they were filming it at the same time. Stop me if I'm wrong.
Yeah,
but the odd thing about it,
during the day they filmed the Lugosi one, at night they filmed the Spanish one. Yep.
And the Spanish version is 20 minutes longer for some reason.
Yeah, I don't know how they did that, because as far as I know, it's based on the same script or whatever. But
it's
the only big difference, otherwise, as I understanding, is it has a lot more sweeping and interesting camera work, and the costumes are a bit different, especially the ladies.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they are. Yes,
a lot of chimichangas.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? That'll lead right directly into my next pick.
Go for it.
Speaking of chimichangas and ladies and Mexicans and all that, and it's keeping with the vampire theme, I watched From Dusk Till Dawn. And
no, I don't believe in vampires.
And I also watched From Dusk Till Dawn, season 1.
I've never actually seen the series.
Okay, we'll get into that, but this is an all-time classic right here, as far as I'm concerned.
Those were fucking vampires.
Yeah, those are fucking vampires. That's what I loved about the movie. I've spoiler or not spoiler, but like to be upfront, I've only seen season 1. I've only seen season 1, and season 1 is a retelling of. I should leave the camera on. Is a retelling of this movie, stretched out into 10 episodes with new characters and backstory. Some stuff I like that they did. Other stuff they could have did without. Just so you guys know, Robert Patrick plays the Harvey Keitel dad role in this. Wilder Valderrama from that 70s show basically plays the Cheech Marin roles of Carlos and the border guy. Isa Gonzalez plays the Sandemonio whatever her name is, the what's her Salma Hayek role. She's no Salma Hayek, but she's actually pretty hot. She's pretty hot. Yeah. So she's probably the best villain that they have. Don Johnson plays the guy the Texas Ranger who gets killed in the liquor store in the beginning. Don Johnson plays him. Jake Busey plays Sex Machine. Which he's a completely different character. They changed him a lot. It's a little bit of unnecessary. So basically, okay, what I really liked about the original movie is I really like, because I'm gonna get into what I like real quick. Go into it. I love the fact that like these two brothers are just bad guys. They truly are just bad guys. They're not really heroes, They're really just bad guys, and they're these, they're on the run from the police. They're getting in these fights and killing these cops and everything. And Quentin Tarantino is just fucking nuts. He's literally just nuts. He thinks he hears shit. He thinks he sees shit. He does what he does to that woman they kidnapped. There's something really wrong with him. And then they kidnap this family, with Harvey Keitel, who's absolutely great in this movie, as the preacher who's lost his face because his wife died in a car crash, and he's on the road trip into Mexico with his daughter and his adopted son. And what's her name? Juliette Lewis is great as Kate. It's this like weird movie where like it's like a grindhouse sort of movie and everything. And it's got multiple stories, and it's just these bad guys who end up in this situation where they end up at this bar called the Titty Twister, that just so happens to be controlled by Mexican vampires, which are actually legitimately worse bad guys than they are. And I love the fact that it's like nobody believes in vampires. It was never thought of, and then they're in this situation with vampires and they have to work together to kill these vampires, and shit goes down. People die. I love that feel of it. And with the TV series, at least within the first season, and I have heard about what they do with the second and third season, because it only ran 3 seasons, is like they tried to explain everything a little too much, and they add unnecessary characters. Like, so we find out like that the U.S. or the Texas Ranger that was killed, Don Johnson, he actually had a partner. And that partner is now chasing them onto Mexico for revenge. So he's after them. Carlos, who was Cheech Marin, who was in the original movie, was just like, he was bringing them into El Rey. He had never been to the bar ever before. He just thought the bar looked cool and told him meet there. Well, Carlos, played by Wilmer Valderrama from the 70s show. He's also a vampire, and he's leading them there. He knew all along. And Richie, they tried to explain Richie a little bit by saying that Pandemonia, what I can't think of her name. The Salma Hayek character. She's actually in his head, telling him things, making him see things. So she's the one making him see, like when he says, he said, help us. He said, help us. So like she's making him see shit, and that's why he's being evil the way he is, because she wants him to come to her at the bar to make him her prince. And so like they're being led to the bar. All of them are like being led there to the bar. And the vampires in the TV shows they're not really vampires. They're like snakes. In which, yes, they are sort of like snakes in when Salma Hayek does her little transformation. There you go. Thank you. Santico Pandemonium. Pandemonium. Santico Pandemonium. So yeah. So like they're all leading them there like some sort of like Aztecian, type of like Mesoamerican prophecy. Like it's all leading to this, and like they're not like real like vampires. They're like snake vampires. Yeah, they're like all of them are like snake vampires. Like they got snake teeth. They got the little like spit and venom thing, and the snake tongues, and the crosses don't work on them. Like they do in the movie. Like in the movie, like the holy water and the crosses, all that work in the movie. In the TV show, it's like you can blow their head off, you can stab them in the heart, but they're like a snake. And with Santico Pandemonium is like she's sort of a prisoner there, and she's bringing them there because she wants to get free, because there's like 9 lords that are hoarding over these vampires, and she was actually taken when she was a young girl, like hundreds of years ago, and thrown in a pit of snakes, and they bit her, and like a snake went in her throat, and that's how she became who she became, and like they use her. So like they add all kinds of things, like with, like I said, Jake Busey is Sex Machine. He's actually brought up early in the show with the Texas Ranger trying to track him, chasing him into Mexico to get revenge for the killing of Don Johnson's character. He's actually a professor, and he just so happens to be at the bar when they get there. And there he's called Sex Machine. So like, it's a bit of an it's a bit of an unnecessary remake, and it's stretched out too long. I will say that there's some stuff I really liked, but some changes I did like, some changes I didn't like. The one big change that Robert Rodriguez said he had always regretted not putting in the movie was he wanted Kate to leave with Seth. When at the end of the movie, she says, when, you need some company, Seth, and he tells her no, go home, and he leaves without her, and she just leaves her there. Well, he said he wanted her to leave with him. And so she actually leaves with him at the end of this thing. However, the big problem there is, like, with Juliette Lewis's character in the movie, I don't know how she's supposed to be in the movie, but she feels like she's like maybe 19 or 20, right? She feels old enough to be able to hang with Seth and them.
I don't know. I thought she was like 16 or 17 or
really. I kind of felt like she felt a little older.
I think she's supposed to be 17.
I think she's supposed to be that age too, but she kind of felt she plays older. Well, the girl they have
I felt like she was supposed to be young enough to where she had no control over not wanting to go on this vacation with her dad, basically.
Yeah.
What it felt like.
Well, and the thing, like, the girl in the TV show was actually a 17-year-old girl, and so like she doesn't look at Richie and say, "Richie, will you eat my?" Like they do in the movie. So she said, I can't remember what she says, but so she's actually a 16 or 17-year-old girl. So it gets kind of weird with some situations with that. And yeah, love or hate. I know George Clooney is who George Clooney is now. I know people, you don't like the guy that's playing George Clooney's part in the show. It does not come off as cool as him. You know what I mean? Like, there was a bit of a coolness factor to George Clooney in this movie.
I don't know. I think Clooney's pretty cool. He beat the hell out of Biden without even having to run against him.
But you know what I mean? Like, he comes off like a pretty cool guy, and Quentin Tarantino plays it really like creepy and nerdy and scary, like his way he plays it. Like in the two brothers, the guys that got in that, I don't really know who they are. Like, the Seth character doesn't feel as cool. He kind of feels like he's just like he's being pulled around by everybody, and he has no control whatsoever. And like Richie feels like he's like the older brother to him, and feels like he's much more intimidating and stuff. So yeah, I'm probably not selling you guys on the series at all.
It never looked all that appealing to me, and really, like, look,
No.
I'm one of those people where it is a huge exception to the rules when a television show is as good as or better than the original film it's based on. Like, for every MASH, there's a 5 million Ferris Buellers.
Right. Exactly.
So the problem with this is the same thing with Scream and a few others. Like, I know they got their little, following. Even Teen Wolf was one of those. I'm like, really?
Yeah.
Like, are you shitting me right now? They basically turned the Michael J. Fox comedy into Twilight.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
But whatever. So like I look at some of these things, and from what I heard about From Dusk Till Dawn, it's probably one of the better of them, and since it has Rodriguez and such involved, that helps.
I mean, first, I've never ever seen past season 1. But the first season actually isn't as bad as I'm making it sound. I just think the movie's much better. And there is some good in the show. There is some good changes that they did. And I do like the fact that Robert Patrick, who plays the pastor, filling in for Harvey Keitel, he makes it a lot longer than you expect. He doesn't get bit right away like he does in the movie. He plays him a little bit more darker than like Harvey Keitel does, and they try to play up a mystery, like Kate doesn't really trust her dad because she thinks maybe her dad killed her mom. There's something they're not saying about that. And
here's the
it
issue.
Turns out it's all normal, like the movie.
Yeah, I was gonna say, here's an issue with a TV show like that too, is you're having to pile on a bunch of stuff, and then it starts to almost sound like a soap opera at some point.
Yeah.
And it really kind of messed with the tone of what made From Dusk Till Dawn unique in the first place, because it's really one of those movies that you test friendships and shit with, especially if somebody who has no clue what they're getting into, right? Like that's the beauty of it. Is you go, okay, I want you to watch this movie. It's got Quentin Tarantino and George Clooney in it, and Selma Hayek and Robert Rodriguez directed it. You know the guy who did Desperado. Oh yeah. You ever heard about it? No. And if halfway through, if they don't get pissed and they're totally into it, that's a keeper.
Yeah.
Right? Because that's the whole beauty of this movie. Like going to see this in the theater, there was no surprise. They told you what this movie was from the trailer. The surprise for us was, are you going to get to the vampires? Like,
it takes a minute. It takes a minute.
It's a fucking hour before you get to the vampires.
Yeah.
What I loved afterwards is when the movie come out on video and watching like my friends and my mother and other people having, you know, the evolution of their heart attack with this movie when they go, what the fuck just happened?
Exactly. Yeah.
Because they're expecting it, like, because it starts rolling and you're like, oh, this is like another, like a Pulp Fiction kind of thing. I get, okay, I get the Tarantino Rodriguez vibe. Okay, I totally. And then all of a sudden, well, wait, hold time out. Where the fuck the vampires come from all of a sudden?
Yeah.
And then you realize from the point of view of the audience, it's like you're supposed to be in the shoes of the people in the movie, right? Like the whole idea is it takes you on this trek and this ride, and that's the beauty of Tarantino and Rodriguez, is they know exactly what they're doing to you. It's basically Psycho, but times 10.
Yeah.
Right? It's like we're gonna fuck with you as the audience. Like, if you know what's going to happen, cool, fine, whatever. But if you don't, that's the roller coaster ride that this thing is, and that's the beauty of it. And it is a testing ground movie for friendships and stuff like that, or girlfriends, or whoever.
I agree with you.
If they can be down with it, if they're totally cool once the movie twists, and they're like, oh, yeah, now this shit just cranked it up to 11, well, then that's a keeper. But if there's somebody like, okay, this movie just went off the rails, I don't know, I'm done, shut it off, or they try to, get out of it, then it's like, yeah, you have no sense of humor, sense of fun. Because what the fuck were you expecting? It could keep playing out and doing the same shit. Yeah, it'd probably be an interesting kind of like Tarantino-esque kind of Pulp Fiction-y kind of movie, I guess. But why? We've already gotten a couple of those. We'd gotten, True Romance and Natural Born Killers that are along these same lines already. And that's the trick of the movie, right? Is it makes you think it's one of those kind of movies where you're clearly setting yourself up for Juliette Lewis and George Clooney to somehow have some weird, like, fucking, relationship by the end of the movie, because that's clearly how it's being set up. But yet you have no idea where this outside threat is going to come from until you realize, wait, no, it's vampires?
Yeah. I love it. That's what I said. That's what I loved about the movie, is because you get this story, like you said, when you get into the movie, it comes off very much like one of those movies. Like, and these are like legitimately bad guys, and you're going to follow them, and you're wondering what's going to happen. How can these guys be the heroes? And you get to the titty twister, and all of a sudden it's vampires. Shit goes down, and it gets crazy. And it's just like, and it's like the great line, like you said, like Cheech says at the end of the movie, what were they, psychos? Do psychos explode when light hits them? They were vampires, right? And this is like right off the bat, it's all like, in the TV shows, it's vampires. You're getting into blah blah blah. You got to do all this, and like they even go back into.
Well, you can't recreate that with the show.
Yeah, you can't recreate that, so they got to get right into that, and right away, everything, and then like they go into the backstory of the brothers, who and their dad is played by James Remar, and all that. So it goes into their flashbacks and everything, and I did forget to show you they have little cards that came with the set. That's the brothers. The two there, if you guys can see it. I don't know how good my camera's showing right now.
I mean, again, I'm not adverse to like shows like this, but again, I just wasn't necessary.
And then like this girl, like she's really like 16 or 17. That's Kate. And then this guy here is the Texas Ranger chasing them after they kill the guy in the beginning of the movie at the liquor store. And then he's playing the Cheech roles. He plays multiple roles just like Cheech. And then there's Pandemonium.
You almost have to have Cheech in it regardless.
Yeah, he's not in it. He's not in it.
I feel like that's like sacrilege.
Yeah, he's not in it. And I know Danny Trejo comes in the second movie. So
second season.
Season, I mean, not the yeah. And I did forget that
Trejo's in the movie, but like I mean, because like that's the thing that's weird that Cheech isn't even in it regardless, because he's basically Rodriguez's good luck charm.
Yeah. and he's not
He's
even
in
in
everything.
He's
Like,
not in it.
wow, that's weird. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I did want to go back
that's
to one
ex-wife.
thing because
Go ahead.
because you brought up the ending, and I thought, well, that's about whether or not Kate and Seth should leave
Mhm.
together at the end. I like the fact that he doesn't in the film.
It's smart. It's smart to really, you know, 'cause
No.
like where he's going, she would never have a normal life. He's going to a bad
No.
place.
Yeah, because the place where they're going, El Rey, is actually from the novel version of The Getaway, the final chapter that neither version of
Yeah.
the film
Mhm.
has.
And didn't they make a
Where
movie
you
like a couple of
see-
years ago about that place too? Like
I think they
Like-
did.
something night at the El Rey.
That was
can't
the
remember
name
what
of
that was
his
called.
network. He called it the El Rey
Oh.
Network when he had his own.
Yeah,
He
no,
had
but there was
his
a movie that was set at that same mythological bar.
Oh,
or
was
whatever.
it?
Yeah,
I haven't
yeah.
seen that. I have to look
Yeah.
that one.
I seen it. It was okay.
And,
And it was like, yeah. Sorry, go ahead, Stephen.
But the point is it's such because they base it in Tarantino has even said it. El Rey is basically hell,
Mhm.
you know, because all you've got is, you know, the loot that you stole, whatever you have left, and that's all you pretty much have to work with, and you are surrounded by all these other criminals who are just, you know, metaphorically cannibalizing one another. And in
Yeah,
the end of The Getaway, I think they both die at the end of it, or
In the book,
or
yeah,
going
I
down
think.
that road.
Yeah, in the
Yeah.
book, I think that's how it happens. In the movie, it's a little bit different, I believe. But like, there's a
Mhm.
whole chapter. Like the whole chapter, he talks about the getaway.
Mhm.
It's mostly about the El Rey in
Yeah.
that chapter in cinema speculation. So yeah, like it's a big deal to Tarantino and him. So I can see where they definitely got it from that, and it's like this. They've adopted it into their world or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, they're on the wall. But yeah, it's smart in the movie, but in the TV show, they don't even go to El Rey because they were tricked by everybody just to get him to the titty twister. So like when he leaves
That's
with her,
dumb.
yeah, that's what it said.
Yeah.
Like, so when he leaves with her at the end of the thing, it's like they're just getting away from the fucking vampires and
The
stuff. after they
joke
killed
only
everybody.
works like I'm sorry, but that's like the best part of it is like when he doesn't
Exactly.
realize that. Yeah, it was like he just thought, it's just some fucking holdover in Mexico, right? Like,
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
in this they're tricked. Like Richie's being led by
that's
pandemonium.
dumb.
She's in his head. She's leading him to her because she wants to make him her
yeah,
prince.
now I remember you saying that part. I
Yeah.
guess it makes more sense.
And then Seth is being tricked by the Carlos, the Wilder Valderrama who's playing.
That's just
because
creating
he's all
too
wants them to
much.
come there. So yeah, they kind of it kind of makes it a little too convoluted in the show. But the first
Convoluted,
season, like I said, it's really not bad if you want to take a look at it, like a different viewpoint of it. So that's it. Yeah. But but I will say Isa Gonzalez, when she does her dance, pretty much the same dance as Selma Hayek, other than they do a little things different there or whatever. But she's got a nice ass. She looks great. She does the pour down her foot, except the guy doesn't suck her toes like Tarantino. I mean, he does suck her toes, but you watch the scenes, like you watch Tarantino do it, and he's like really digging in on some Hayek's toes. He's sucking the shit out of them, right? This guy in the show kind of like he hesitates a little bit. He doesn't really lets her put it in his mouth. But that's like really the big difference. But yeah, she's not a bad fill-in. It does look like a younger Summer Hayek. But other than that, I'd still say watch the movie. Tom's got a great point about just like if you don't know anything, if you know somebody who doesn't know much about the movie at all, pop it in and give them the test and let them get to that point and see how they think. Because I think it's a hell of a ride. I like it. I enjoy it. But there you go. All right. So Tom, how many you got left?
I technically have 3 left. I was gonna do them as like 1 or 2 picks. Yeah.
Okay.
So I know.
All
I
right.
think you guys are both down to your last ones.
Yeah, we're down to our last one. Yeah. So, All right, let's go to Steven, then we'll figure out how to do it. What do you got first, Steven?
All right. Well, the one that I have next is my most recent acquisition, and found it completely by chance. Now, this was a movie that came out during the pandemic, so it kind of slipped through the cracks a little bit. And it's Sound of Metal. And this movie actually came out around the time I started getting involved with YouTube. And back in the days of Midnight's Edge, when they still had Rob, you know, and he was always going on and on about, there were only 2 movies that came out this year. How can they have the Oscars? And I brought up Sound of Metal, which obviously, since the theaters were closed, had to watch it on VOD, because that's how we were getting the new releases at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And it stars Riz Ahmed. He is a drummer for this alternative rock band, and he goes deaf, and he winds up at this camp for deaf people. They essentially teach him how to be a deaf person. You know, and he gets to know the people there, becomes one of them, starts to fit in, but he has this sort of crisis, because he wants to be, you know, he wants to get his hearing back. He wants to get the cochlear implant.
Mm-hmm.
But the fella who runs the camp is trying to talk him out of it, and tell him that you sort of, I don't know, because this is where it gets weird for me personally. I am someone who, if I lost one of my senses and I had a way to get it back, I would take it. And that's I would be kind of Riz Ahmed's character's point of view.
Yeah.
You know, but he's kind of surrounded by people who are kind of saying, no, you're kind of missing out, because you can sort of hear in a different way. Right. If that makes sense how I'm putting it. You know, it's sort of this metaphor for, you know, slow down and smell the roses, basically. Mm-hmm. You know, so I thought that was interesting, that back and forth, but not of course, obviously, not being deaf, I don't understand the argument entirely, but I could understand his point of view with that.
Right.
But is it correct? I don't know. So on that basis, it's interesting. He's in a relationship with the girl who's the singer of the band, Olivia Cook, who's on House of the Dragon now.
Mm.
She's not in a lot of the films. She's basically the first act and at the end. And again, it's a movie that doesn't end where and in the way you think it's going to, you know.
Yeah.
You know, but it's interesting, sort of, because it's a character drama, and it is very much about how certain characters look at the world And is he better off with this woman, or is he better off being at this camp with these people where he's starting to fit in? And you kind of get the idea that the guy who runs the place is maybe trying to groom him to eventually take his place, maybe down the road, which is kind of an interesting kind of, he becomes like a father figure to this guy who didn't have a father, you know. And, you know, there's a young kid at the camp who's very introverted, and he kind of draws this kid out, and you know, and saves him from kind of maybe self-harm down the line. You don't know, but he's somebody who's very going down that road. I don't know.
I remember this movie coming out, but I've never seen it, so I can't.
Yeah, I've never seen it either.
It's very understated. You know, it's not this. I mean, obviously, the musical portions in the first act are very much this in-your-face industrial, hence the deafness. But you know, it's this very quiet, understated character study about this guy who kind of has to learn a different way to live because he has now lost one of his senses. Very similar to Killer Movie. I haven't seen that, so maybe. But every year there's always a movie that kind of comes out of nowhere and surprises me and sort of gets to me on some kind of an emotional level. And this is the movie that kind of really got me that year. And it's really my favorite movie of the year of like 2019 when it came out, or in some places 20, depending on, you know, because Riz Ahmed is fucking fantastic in it. Olivia Cook's good. Like I said, she's not in a lot of the movie. Paul Racy, who plays the guy who runs the camp, he was Oscar nominated as well. He's very good here. It's an interesting film. It's this kind of low-key character study of this guy, you know, trying to, because he is a musician and he wants to continue in that vein, but of course, you know, with now his hearing's completely gone, and how does he go about doing that? You know, it's this guy almost having to change his entire way of living and thinking, and if you put yourself in his, it kind of puts you in his shoes, the movie, and the sound design, which got an Oscar as well. I think it got a number of Oscars. It was Best Picture nominated. And I know we hack on the Oscars, and the Oscars deserves to get hacked on, hack away. But this is a movie that actually earned the nominations and the awards that it got, because it genuinely is that good. And I am not doing it justice in the way that I'm describing it, but you know, it's one of those movies that sort of sucks you in, and it does it pretty early on, and then you realize, oh my God, I'm invested. I care about this guy. I'm worried for him. What is he going to do now? Is he in the right place in life? Should he be at this camp? Should he leave? Should he stay? You know, should he go off to France with the girlfriend? I don't know. But you know, it's interesting.
Yeah.
And I dug the hell out of it. And I wish I had time today to rewatch it and give you an idea of this. Hold on. I'm pushing the wrong button here, folks. This is 4K. It's Criterion Collection Edition, so of course there's like a ton of special features on it, and there's the booklet as well, and whatnot. And it is a 2-disc set. It is the 4K and the Blu-ray. So it's an interesting film, low key character drama. We went from Mexican vampires to a character drama, and I deserve a spanking. No,
we all like what we like, right, man?
I know, because this is another case of me being all over the place, because I've gone from like an AI trying to rule the world to body horror to this very kind of quiet, understated, low-key, brilliantly underplayed film about this guy who thinks he's got everything figured out, but has this happen to him, and now he has to figure out where his place is in the world again. And it's almost like a rebirth. I'll put it that way. You are experiencing this man having a rebirth.
Cool.
And where he ends up at the end of the movie is pretty interesting, and it's one of those movies where you wonder, where is that character now? I would like to see, it'll never happen, but I would like to see a 20 years down the road sequel. Where is this guy now?
Could be interesting.
Yeah.
Cool.
I
Any
can
final...
get us back on vampires.
you done, Steven?
Go for it. I love vampire movies. Go for it.
Sounds like an interesting movie, though, Steven. I will give you that.
It is.
As I promised last week, I did check out the remake from 1979, I believe. Yeah.
Yes.
Of Nosferatu from Werner Herzog. Starring Klaus Kinski, who is also in the other Dracula film I just mentioned. Only this time he's playing the actual Count himself, and they actually go by the name Dracula, and they use all the book names and stuff in this. So it kind of threw me off. I kind of wish they had just used the original names, because otherwise, pretty decent, although slow moving at times, adaptation of Nosferatu / Dracula. It just expands more. Some shots are almost like verbatim, but brilliantly composed. Now I watched the American cut, and this is an older Shout Factory disc, and it looks like ass. The American cut looks like dead ass. The UK cut looks a little bit better, but it's really weird because I'm from what I read, the German cut, not UK cut. The German cut is the preferred cut by the director and other people, but almost everybody did their dialogue in English. And there is some shots that are done differently in different languages, but not all the actors could speak German, but almost all of them could speak English. So most of the cast just did their dialogue in English.
Yeah.
So the easier one to watch, so it doesn't fuck with your brain so much, is just the English version. To be honest with you.
Yeah.
I just wish it was in better quality, because it barely looks like it's better than a fucking DVD on this version. I mean, this is a older Blu-ray, don't get me wrong, but 2014, it's way out of date. It needs a 4K remaster horribly. I hope with the new remake coming out that it will get a surprise 4K dropped
That'd be
on
nice.
us, but considering we haven't heard anything yet, I'm not going to get my hopes up.
Yeah.
But no, it's definitely due for one. But no, as far as remakes go, it's right in that era, in that alley of really well done remakes, and it's right in there. So,
but they call him Dracula. They don't call him Count.
Yeah, he calls himself Count Dracula in it, and yeah, it's Jonathan Harker, not Hutter, and all that kind of stuff, and Renfield instead of Knock or anything like that. So yeah. So as far as the special features go, I think there's like a little like featurette from like back in the day, commentary from Werner Herzog I didn't get to watch, and just some trailers, and that's it. Not one of Shout's better attempts, I would say, even for 2014, considering.
Yeah, it's probably this one they got and was like, here.
Well, they were probably just lucky to get it, period, but they should have done a new remastering on it, big time.
Yeah, that would have been nice.
But speaking of something that did get a remaster, and I guess this is a little lesser known because I didn't even know about this until I bought it, basically. And that is the semi-quasi sequel, Nosferatu in Venice.
Venice. That's one I've not seen.
It's all right. It's barely a sequel. I mean, it does kind of hint at the previous film, but it doesn't necessarily... It kind of leans into this could be the same vampire, but it's not.
Just go with it. Right?
Now, you want to talk about titties and shits.
There you go.
There you go.
Now you sold it on me.
This is like Skinamax stuff, practically. You can tell why Klaus wanted to do this movie. He got to grab some tits. And he's like he doesn't even act or look anything like he does in this movie. So I don't even know if he's so he's basically just playing a new vampire in a lot of ways, but it almost is being played like it is the sequel to this. Like they didn't conquer him in this version, but what they need to conquer him is to, the whole true love thing. Does kind of fall in line. So it is kind of a wonky, weird thing. Style wise though, it's very stylish. It came out in, I think, 89 or 88. Again, this is another one that was shot in Italy, but most of the dialogue was done in English. Because you even got like Christopher Plummer, and you've even got he's basically playing like kind of like a Van Helsing kind of role, and then you got a priest played by Donald Pleasance in it.
Oh,
and he's all right in it. He's pretty good in it. And I mean, overall, it's not a horrible movie. It's just different and weird and doesn't really feel like it's like, at times it feels like it's kind of a quasi sequel, but since it takes place in modern day Italy or whatever it is, it's just kind of weird.
just kind of throw it in there.
it's not as bad as I expected it to be, considering the way the internet and Andre and other people kind of responded to it when I asked about it. But no, it's kind of like a very B movie. It's not nearly on the same level as the original. Doesn't really have any real reason to exist. It should probably just be its own thing. Really.
I mean, once you lose Werner Herzog and all that, so that's.
Oh yeah, because he doesn't direct it. That's
yeah. I've not seen the vampire. I didn't remember that they called him Dracula in the Nosferatu one, but I have not seen the one in Venice.
See, and that's what's weird is I think they just call him like Nosferatu and fucking the vampire. Nosferatu, but like it's just so weird. And he's got like a 1980s hairstyle thing going on all of a sudden. Doesn't even have the makeup or nothing on anymore. Yeah, it's like a mullet. Like a David Bowie from fucking Labyrinth fucking wig, like he found and put on.
You're just selling me on this movie. It's got titties,
it is like that kind of fucked up. It's got a cool bat in it though. Like it's got some pretty semi-decent bat effects for the time. I will give it that. Especially when you're like, if it wasn't a new scan from the negative, like you're like, you wouldn't have seen those wires. Like that would have been a pretty good effect. Like, it's like, yeah, there's some bits in it that are just like, okay, cool. And there's some gore, not a lot, but tons of nice tits and bush.
Nice selling it even more.
Yeah, so you get plenty of that. So it definitely leans into the romantic elements of it all. I mean, there's some bits in it that are kind of cool and it works. Other bits really drag. But no, it's all right.
Hmm,
The whole point of it is
sounds like a good
based
watch
around
list.
this idea that this family is cursed because of Nosferatu, and they've been like connected all these years, and it's this long lost love, and it's true love that will actually defeat Nosferatu, and it's all kind of wrapped around this idea. It's
That's the. I mean, I do wish they would get sort of back on track with certain vampires, which I do love that. What Robert Eggers said that he wanted his Nosferatu to just be a scary ass vampire, not
Yeah,
something
I hope
about
it's
love.
good.
So we'll see.
And as far as Klaus Kinski, I mean, in the right roles, he's good.
Yeah,
In the
I
wrong
mean,
roles, he's batshit crazy.
I mean, he's done some. He has done stinkers.
He's only got like one line as Renfield in fucking Dracula because he don't even speak.
Also, he's Renfield in Dracula in the
And Count
71.
Dracula, yeah, in the 1971 he plays Renfield. I mean, he's fine in it, but he doesn't have any lines. Like he doesn't speak at all. Like the whole character's like mute, and the only time he does is he just kind of like whines, and then he's saying things to the doctor, I guess, in these years, and then he does say one thing later on. I don't even remember what the hell the line was, but that was it. And it's like, yeah, but it is. It's he does fine in it. I mean, yeah, it's just kind of weird that there's that connection. Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting. I do, but yeah, I've definitely got to check out Nosferatu Venice. You sold me on that movie.
Yeah, especially if you can find it on sale from I think Severin was the one who put it out.
Yeah, Severin is they can
It's
be a
a
little
2K
expensive
of
at
the
times,
of the negative. I don't think it was scanned in 4K and it's just released in Blu-ray. I think it was an actual 2K scan. It looks like it, but it still looks pretty good. Hell of a lot better than the first Nosferatu does. Now I could just do my last one if you wanted me to. It's up to you.
Oh, let me do mine real quick because mine sort of goes along with those two movies.
Okay, go for it.
Because
So
I
does
did.
mine. So either way, yeah.
Because I was going as I've been in a vampire thing too since you brought up Nosferatu last week. So I'll go ahead and bring this up because this movie, well, it's a mini series and it's Salem's Lot. I watched Salem's Lot.
I almost watched that instead of Dracula.
Oh, really?
Almost.
When you brought up Nosferatu, I was like,
because the vampire in it is very obviously
he's
inspired
Nosferatu,
by
basically.
Nosferatu. Yeah,
he's Kurt Barlow. But I did watch it. This actually looks pretty good, and I'm sure I'm breaking up just now because I just noticed my internet.
No, you're actually looking pretty good.
Oh, really? I've only got 2
now
bars.
You get a little digitized, but no, I know. I stuck it in and I started watching it, but like, nah, I want to watch something else instead.
Yeah.
And I watched Count Dracula, but yeah, I think that's actually scanned in 4K. It doesn't say it on there,
great.
but it looks like a 4K scan.
This looks really good. It's very well done miniseries where you don't feel like you're watching a TV series. It feels very cinematic, even as it goes along. But
Wasn't this the recut version for the UK anyway? That is basically a movie.
No, this is the full miniseries. That's what I was about to talk to you. With this, they edited together as one 3-hour long movie. So like where the first part, because it was a 2-parter, an hour and a half each. So instead of where like it ends and then rolls credits and then they give you the recap, they cut out the credits of the first movie and the recap. So it plays as one continuous 3-hour movie. So it works great. So it's not. It's all in there. The whole miniseries is everything other than the recap at the beginning of part 2, where it goes over the events that happened in part 1. That's the only thing missing. But then I do have Salem's Lot,
the old tapes,
the double tape, and this is the full miniseries, part 1 and part 2 with the recaps and everything. And then this is the one you were just talking about, Salem's Lot, the movie. This has been this is the cut down version. It's only 112 minutes long.
Okay, I didn't know that it was cut down. I just thought they just combined the two. And
no, this was cut down. This version has only ever been released on VHS. It's notorious because it's really bad editing because they've cut out of stuff that actually needed to be left in the movie for you to understand. But it has alternate gore takes, so this movie is gorier than the actual miniseries. So there's like different takes of like the gore scenes and like the attacks and everything. And it's only available on VHS, but the whole full miniseries is the best in general. So, but no, I just got into it like when you brought up the Nosferatu, and I was like, well, I don't want to just bring on Nosferatu again. I'll watch that, and I popped it in. I just really got into it. So I started letting it flow, and It surprises me because you're watching this and you forget that it really is a TV movie because it's so well done and it's so well played out. And as I just was getting into it, I really did lose track that it was a TV movie. And I mean, there's parts where it shows up and you're like, oh yeah, okay, now, because you like get like where it goes cuts to commercial, certain scenes and stuff like that. You feel like you remember, but it's really good. Peter Soule, he plays this writer who returns to his hometown of Salem's Lot, and he's drawn there because of the house. I can't remember the name
A
of the house.
writer in a Stephen King story? That's nothing.
Right?
That's never
Nothing
been done
new.
before.
Nothing new. What's up, John Doe Juggalo and VHS Mikey? Glad to have you guys with us. Yeah, it's you got to hand it to Stephen King. It's like, how many times can he put himself into a movie or a book? If he actually did write those books in some cases.
It's always a writer. It never fails. It's always there. Tell me one of his movies that doesn't have a writer in
Exactly.
it.
And it's always a lefty writer too.
Or his books,
Because he's a lefty in this. Which they do make mention of that. Like even the town sheriff's like, he's a lefty. He seems like an all right guy anyways. So like they just like I love how they do that back in the day. But no, like so he's a writer, comes back to his hometown. He's drawn there because the is it called the Marsden House? I think it's called. I can't remember, but like he's drawn there because he had an experience when he was a kid that scared the crap out of him, and he wants to sort of investigate and write a story. And he meets a woman, and it starts going through the townspeople and everything, and then like an antique shop is just so happening to be opening, and there's this weird British guy who's living in the house now, and his partner Bar coming any day now to help him move up at the antique shop. And then people in the town start disappearing and becoming vampires. So that's like the story, and they got to figure out how to stop it. And like you said, the vampires, Barlow's heavily by Count Orlok from Nosferatu, straight to the teeth and everything, and the way he's presented. Yeah, so I know it was really good. I had a fun time with it. It was great, and so if you've never seen it and you want to get it, it played very well this time of year going into Halloween. It's a simple, basic vampire story, and I did love the fact that it's not the only romance is between David Soule's character and John McClane's wife, because that's how I remember her, because it's Bonnie whatever she plays the love interest. That's the love story. The vampire and all the other vampires are just fucking monsters. They're there. They're going to take you. They're going to turn you. They're going to feed on you. That's there. I love the fact that they're just monsters. So and that's great, and it's still got that great scene that's still very creepy to this day when that kid's in his bed and his brother has gone missing, and then he's laying in bed.
Well,
and
it was directed by Tobe Hooper, right?
Yeah, Tobe Hooper directed it, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and which I forgot how much this miniseries inspired so many other vampire movies, because like as I was watching it, I realized that The Lost Boys, Fright Night, and Buffy the Vampire Slayer ripped this show off a lot. They copied some of the scenes directly from the movie in their movies. Like the whole confrontation at the end of Fright Night in the house in front of the thing, that's essentially happens in this movie with the way they confront Barlow and his guy. And then like the kid, like I was getting to the kid flying outside his brother's window in the smoke. They do that in just about every vampire movie since. Buffy did it in the movie with David Arquette's character. And then like even when they impale a guy on an antler in the house, which they in Lost Boys, he what's his name said he admitted that he wanted to copy that scene in his movie, so that's why he impales him on an antler in the movie, because of Salem's Lot. So it's very underrated. It does get very spooky. It is very great actors. Speaking of Juliette Lewis, her father is in this movie. Oh my God, Jeffrey Lewis. A lot of you may know him from Clint Eastwood movies, but he's in this movie and he becomes a vampire. He has a great scary scene sitting in that chair, rocking with his eyes glowing and his fangs out. It's great. It's just great flick. I enjoyed it. But yeah, it's not seen it. I do recommend it. It's got that classic Stephen King feel to it when you actually liked Stephen King stuff. So Yeah, it's great. It's great. Something like better than the 2000. Yeah, the 79 version is better than the 2004 version. But I haven't seen the Rob Lowe one in a long time, so I couldn't tell you
Yeah,
one way or another.
I never saw that version myself, so I can't speak to it. But yeah, the 79 version, Toby Hooper directing, well worth seeing. I don't really have much hope for the new one, but who knows? It may surprise us.
I
My
heard it was so
concern with
good,
the new
Steven,
one
it
is
sat on a shelf for years.
Yeah, and Stephen King
yeah, there's that.
great that it
Yeah,
needs to be seen. Hmm.
yeah. That's always a good sign. Um, but I don't know. I know that the Father Callahan character um, winds up in the Dark Tower series as well. Um,
Oh, does he?
so yeah, because it's one of those cases where you have characters showing up in multiple stories. So, but yeah, that first Salem's Lot, yeah, very memorable. I was very young, of course, at the time, so it's very memorable. That kid floating,
Yeah, it's still
in
it's
the
pretty
window.
creepy.
It's yeah,
Pretty creepy when he
some good.
first shows it and he comes tapping on it. Let me.
Mhm.
Oh man, it's creepy. But then they kind of overuse it a little bit because they do it like 2 or 3 more times in the movie. So, but the first time it is scary. It is legit scary. Um, Dragonzilla, I highly recommend the 79 originals version. Um, I haven't seen the 2004 Rob Lowe one in a long time, so I know they changed a few things, and I think it's like maybe even a little more closer to the book. I don't know if I remember correctly, but I haven't seen it in a long time. But I know the original one is great. It's a straightforward vampire flick. It's got that like late 70s, early 80s feel to it. About small town, they capture the small town just right. The vampires are scary. I mean, it is a TV series, so that it does at times. You like I said, at times you do see that it was a TV series, but for the most part, it does you kind of lose yourself in the movie and the story that you forget that it's a TV series other than a few parts here and there. But it's pretty good. It's you got to have 3 hours of your day to watch it. So I watched it over a couple days.
Yeah.
so yeah. But it's great. It's great. No, honestly, I'm not interested in the new one. I don't have hopes for it. Even what's funny is like when I even see people who like work for horror magazines and horror websites and stuff who are like praise everything. It doesn't matter what it is; they praise everything. Like I'm like, fuck people. Nothing's good all the time. You're not going to score a win every movie. But when I see those people saying that they saw the trailer for Salem's Lot, it's like, I don't think I'm gonna like this one. You probably ain't got a winner on your hands. So stop listening. Stop listening to Stephen King, man. He's not who he once was. Just because he says he
No.
thinks it's going to be awesome doesn't mean it's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
He's one of those people too that praises everything. It's like nothing is good all the time.
Yeah.
I'm enough to admit that a lot of new stuff out there that maybe I've skipped on might actually be good, but it's not good all the time. So come on, man. And yeah, most horror remakes are not good. Save for like Nosferatu or The Thing and stuff from back in the day. They knew how to do remakes back in the day. Now they've just remade so much stuff that people just get tired of them. So yeah. But good night, Brian Barth.
Yeah, good night.
Yeah, there you go. That was my final pick, the Salem's Lot. Tom, if you want to move into your vampire, if it connects to that, you can move.
Well, I mean, I had to finish the Nosferatu train.
No, yeah.
I mean, a film that if anybody from Kino or Vinegar Syndrome is watching, try and get this on Blu-ray or 4K would be even better. One of these days would be very nice. Because as far as I can tell, it's never gotten a Blu-ray. I think you can get it digitally on Amazon. It says it's HD, but I don't know how it's going to look or sound. And considering this was one of the earlier movies to have DTS on the DVD, yeah. The movie, if you haven't figured out what I'm talking about already, is a comedy horror classic that is desperately overlooked.
I was wanting to get this or watch it again.
And I tell you, Willem Dafoe should have got an Oscar nomination for this. Shadow of the Vampire. If you haven't seen this, produced by Nicolas Cage.
Oh, he did.
Did he?
He did. Yes.
I don't remember him getting nominated for this. Oh, it does say nominated for 2 Academy Awards. Okay, you're right.
Yeah.
I can't read shit. I even got new glasses, guys.
I know.
Still can't read shit. What were the 2 Academy Awards?
It was him and makeup, I believe.
Oh, wow. I did not know that. Because I feel like this movie never gets talked about enough. And it's been like just totally forgotten. And it's an amazing fucking movie if you haven't seen it. And it sounds like both of you guys have.
I've seen it, yeah.
I mean, it is just, and when I say a comedy horror, it is that. Because the real simple high concept of this movie is it's like, okay, we're going to take a look at the making of Nosferatu, but what if, just what if, Max Schreck was really a vampire?
Yeah. It's a great
and
movie.
What if by the end of the movie, you're actually asking yourself, who is the bigger fucking monster here? Is it Marno or is it the vampire? Because Jesus Christ, this guy's nuts.
Exactly.
He is.
And then when you start to find out a little bit more about Marno, you're like, that guy was a little nuts. Like, okay.
Yeah.
For the short version is like, okay, like a lot of people attached to the original Nosferatu, I think I mentioned this last week, had a lot of ties to the occult and other things.
Oh yeah, I brought it to because they actually use actual occult witch symbols in the movie on those pamphlets and stuff.
Exactly, and they do kind of allude to some of that in here with his kind of psychosexuality, Marno's kind of thing. He's like into the, into some of the kind of darker things, especially of the time, because you got to remember when this movie takes place as well. But no, I mean, just brilliant Willem Dafoe as the vampire. I mean, just his lines are memorable. He literally chews the scenery. I mean, one of the best scenes is when he comes in and just sits down next to the 2 guys. I'm trying to remember their names, the character actors. And they're just sitting there and they're just like kind of looking at him. And he's like, just chilling. And they're like asking him questions about being a vampire and shit. And he's like, how many people have you turned into a vampire? And he's like, I don't remember. It's like, I'm too old to change anybody now. But as far as I can remember, I never was able to. So like, they're just kind of going through this whole thing. And then all of a sudden he just fucking nabs a bat out of the fucking sky and sucks his blood and shit. And they're just kind of staring at him just like, what the fuck? And he's drunk as shit. And then, of course, the other best scene is when, him and Malkovich are going at it. And he's like, you told me you weren't going to hurt any of my people. That was the deal. Why did you eat my cameraman? That was not part of the deal. Why couldn't you have done something like ate the script girl? I'll eat her later.
Yeah,
he does. He just kills everybody, eating everybody, and I love when Marno is just kind of like trying to stand up to it. He's like, "And what are you going to do to me?" Like, come on, fucker. Like, what? Come on.
They get so scared they have to come up with the plan to kill him at the end.
Exactly. That's my point. Is and then at the end you're still going like, who is the bigger fucking monster here? Really?
Yeah, it is.
Because Marno is just nuts. Because he's just, at that point,
he just keeps needling him and pushing him, and I'm like, dude, this. He's not kidding. He will kill you. And it's like, I don't care. I'm on too much opium. The fuck I care.
Yeah. Malkovich is just like, you're fucking with my movie. It's like
he just wants to make the movie. Eat other people, not my crew.
What's funnier is even when the vampire starts getting more into being in the movie.
Yeah.
He's like, what is this? This is all wrong.
I would never do that.
I would never do that.
No self-respecting them. It's just, it's like it really is that director and temperamental actor relationship.
None. You will get 0 close-ups. None.
Because
like that's a threat.
Yeah,
I would like some makeup. No makeup.
Because
sorry, Steven.
I look at it. No, I look at it. Looking back at it, as I look at it, not only as a what if with Shrek and Murnau, I'm also thinking Kinski and Herzog. Because those guys were ready to kill each other at any minute, so that kind of plays into it too. And I think it is. That's what to me makes the movie work. Is because it's not only the what if, between the relationship between Shrek and Murnau, you also have the whole Kinski Herzog thing playing into it as well. I mean, that's just the way I personally see it.
I never really even thought about it that way, but yeah, that's a good way of looking at it.
Yeah.
The movie.
No, I mean the supporting cast is great too. I mean Eddie Izzard in one of his best performances, of course, too, as the the Hutter character. I can't remember the actor's name offhand that he plays, but
yeah,
he's great because he's all up to speed on everything. He's like, well, he told me. I mean, was that kind of them implying that those two are kind of doing stuff behind the scenes too? Like, there's a lot of stuff in here. It's like, okay, wait a minute now. Like, hold up.
I mean, it's a comedy
because he's clearly gay, right? Like,
it's comedy, but it makes you wonder, like, was some of this possibly real between all parties? Was Max Shrek possibly was this actually really happening?
Well, and the fun thing about this is it was kind of always one of those, I wouldn't even go as far as to say kind of like urban myths. I mean, it was one of those fun things that us movie geeks would kind of sit around and go, Max Shrek isn't even a real person, right? That was just we'd say that shit, but back then we didn't have the internet. You couldn't scour and look. Like, in reality, Max Shrek had done like 6 or 7 movies in Germany and shit, and I think he even did an American feature, but you just didn't recognize him, and you didn't have the internet back. Even when this movie came out, yes, the internet was around, but we didn't have the amount of information on the internet yet that we do now, right? Like, I finally seen for the first time ever this year an actual picture of Max Shrek without the makeup. And not only that, you look for a lot of pictures of Max Shrek, and there's fake pictures of Nosferatu that aren't even him. It's like, that ain't him. I don't even know what the hell that's from. Like, but it ain't him. It's like, so like, you get those like urban myths of whatever. And he may have been a character actor that might have fed into some of the, I think that was part of what fed into some of the, or not a character actor, but a method actor. I mean,
method actor.
That's fed into some of the rumors and stuff. But I think what didn't help altogether was just the fact that so many people involved with the movie, like the producers, Murnau himself, and stuff, had such crazy backgrounds and stuff going on in their real lives that, like, I mean, like, the movie itself was always such a taboo thing, and then on top of it all, because it was, thought to have been lost for so long, and because of the lawsuit and everything, and it almost kind of felt like it was like the original Video Nasty in a way. I don't know if that makes sense, but like, almost like when you see Nosferatu for the first time, almost like you're seeing something you're not supposed to be seeing.
Yes, I agree with that. I do agree with that. It does feel something similar to that.
And I mean, it does kind of have an effect of like, I mean, watching that movie and seeing it as many times as I have now, especially, like, it is the better adaptation. Even though it is silent and it's rough as fuck, and it's clearly missing some bits yet. There's clearly a few bits of connective tissue that are missing there. But if you know the story, you don't notice enough. But like, if you're rewatching it and understanding and seeing the loose ends of it, there's some bits here and there that don't quite line up. So you're like, okay, there's got to be at least 5-10 minutes of this movie missing somewhere still, probably. And I wouldn't be surprised. I think the rumor is that there is like a good few minutes of the movie missing somewhere still. But I mean, the 2 versions they have are in such rough fucking shape that,
I mean, maybe one day they'll figure out how to fix it, but who knows? But no, you're right.
Unless I'm wrong and they have the most complete version ever, but yeah.
I know Kino did whoever
their version is actually a little fucked up, I've learned.
Is it?
It's some of it's like missing, I think, some dialogue, and they have a shot repeated in one other bit too that is incorrect that I didn't know about until recently. But Andre said the UK and he doesn't know about the Eureka one, which version that comes from too, if that's the same as Kino's or not. But he said, like, as the German release, I mean, not the UK one. The German release is as far as he knows, is correct. Okay. So, but like, because he even pointed out that shot was wrong. It was repeated in the Kino version or something like that. But if you repeat the other shot that's in a later shot, it's similar enough or something like that, he said. But yeah. Anyway, it's just like little tidbits of things that have been over the years. Yeah. Because I mean, the movie's been remastered like 3 or 4 times now since they found the more complete version. It's made its way to video and Laserdisc and now DVD and Blu-ray. But yeah, I don't know if it'll ever get a 4K. I just don't know if the resolution's there.
Yeah, I don't think it would be. But no, you're right. Shadow of the Vampire definitely needs a Blu-ray. I don't understand why this movie has not.
I think I know part of the problem.
Okay.
It's a Lionsgate film.
Oh.
But it was before Lionsgate distributed their own movies in the U.S. Universal actually released it on DVD. So I wonder if they hang on, if it's like sitting in some weird limbo. Because if it's not, then get on it. Why doesn't this have a release? Especially now that I see, Steven's right. I forgot that it was nominated. I thought it was completely overlooked.
Yeah, he was. I just looked up too. Willem Dafoe was nominated for Best Supporting Actor for Shadow of the Vampire. So, it's like, okay, especially with the new one coming out, and William Dafoe is in the new movie as, you know, the Van Helsing type role that Brian Barth brought up here. Why aren't we getting like more Nosferatu stuff? Why aren't we getting like a Shadow of the Vampire or something and all that?
I would love it if Vinegar Syndrome would get their hands on this.
Yes.
Because it's been out long enough now. It's 10 years, so I'm sure Shout's... I think this has been long out of print, too, if I'm not mistaken.
Probably.
Because I think I bought it on one of the out-of-print sales they had at one time. Because I didn't even know they ever released it. I'm like, oh, I'll grab it. Fuck it. Yeah. And I think I thought it was the original at first, too. It was the other thing, which was funny. I'm like, oh, it's the remake. Okay, whatever. Don't have that one either, so whatever. And then I got the Kino one for the other one, but I'm going to get the Eureka one and check that one out because it's really cheap. So it's got some other special features that are not on the US version. But I just wish... I mean, the DVD doesn't look horrendous, but this is a very early DVD.
Yeah, it's like one of the first
2001,
ones.
I think it came out 2000, something like that. Yeah, 2001. This came out when it still even has my stickers from my video store on it.
Dang.
That I owned. That's my old Movie Central was the name of it. Yep.
Oh. Well, that's cool to have that.
I even had the preview tape of this for years too.
Oh, nice.
I have the poster, I think, still, maybe. I don't know. Yeah, I'm pissed they never have done a better version of this one. So this is a great fucking movie.
Needs one. If anybody is truly listening, we could really use a Shadow of the Vampire on Blu-ray and some of those Nosferatus updated on other companies that's not Shout Factory. Just saying. I mean, Vinegar Syndrome, come on. I mean, if Arrow can get Trick or Treat, come on, somebody give me the Nosferatu.
I'm kind of surprised that it hasn't, because it looks like Werner Herzog Film owns the rights to it.
Yeah.
So you would think that even like at some point it would be one of those movies that would get a... Because this has got to be one of Werner Herzog's better sellers, I would imagine.
You would think. Yeah, I mean,
it's definitely one of their more commercial, popularized ones, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Arrow would be nice too.
Yeah, Arrow would be nice. Definitely.
Yeah.
What were you saying, Steven?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah,
Steven.
because I was thinking, back in the day, whenever, like say, for example, now with this remake coming out, you would get You would, 20 years ago, you would have gotten a Shadow of the Vampire re-release. Maybe even re-released in theaters. Who knows? Nosferatu would have had a re-release, and they don't do that anymore, and I don't understand why. And it's,
well, and again, I think
it's a
this
missed
one,
opportunity.
I think this one I can chalk up to more of a, because I forgot also BBC was involved with this. And then you got Nick Cage's company, which I don't even know exists, if it still even exists anymore.
His company was like called Saturn or something.
Yep. And so like that could probably be the problem, is the rights are all over the fucking place, and they'd have to get all 3 or 4 parties to. And I don't know. I would imagine about maybe this year or 2, or wait, no, it's been 10 years. So I have no idea if Universal has release on it in perpetuity, or if it's just for a certain amount of time or what. But clearly when it was brought out, Lionsgate, I know it was not their own company yet. Like all they were was a foreign distributor, and their movies would get distributed down here by everybody from Universal to Sony. So it was just whoever ended up picking up the distribution.
Yeah. That's probably
famously they also distributed Dogma, right? Through Sony.
And that's another one that's really hard to get your hands on.
But that's because of the Weinstein deal. That's the problem.
Yeah. But you're probably right. It's probably some kind of like foreign and domestic distributors is probably why that's probably never been handled again. Because you never know.
And it's just not popular enough for anybody to make the effort. That's the other problem. Because somebody would actually have to go and I'm not saying like Kino or somebody else hasn't probably tried to make the effort, but considering it's not a more well-known film, that's the bigger problem. But I think that the fact that it's been kind of kept out of circulation and for so long is the bigger issue. Because it's not even available on Vudu, right? Like you can't even buy it there. You can buy it on Amazon, I guess. I seen it there, but I didn't like, I don't know if I want to spend the $10 and it'd be a shitty HD. Like
just the same skin that's on the DVD or something.
Well, I do have, let's say, a digital version that's supposed to be HD. It is a different version of the movie. And the only reason I can tell you that for a fact is because this is clearly shot in Super 35. And it's framed completely differently. So like in some shots on the DVD where it cuts the heads off right about here, in that digital version I have, there's like this much room, but then it cuts off lower down here. So they repositioned the widescreen on the 35. So and I remember the VHS does have an open 35 matte version of it. Like I remember seeing the, and you watch like the behind the scenes stuff on here, you can see the open matte scenes, right? So at the end of the day, it just needs to be redone. So we're not supposed to see the open matte, but
well, I hope somebody gets on it eventually, because it is.
Like I said, it is a totally different scan that's on that version, and I'm assuming that's probably the version that's on Amazon, because that's probably the cable TV version or whatever, but that only has 2.0 sound. And like I said, this one being one of the earlier ones to have DTS sound on it, and I do remember this had a pretty kick-ass soundtrack.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, as far as surround sound goes. So, anyway, short show, guys. Not much shorter, but
well, 2.5 hours, not bad. But yes, if you've never seen Shadow of the Vampire, I do recommend that. It is great. It's funny.
Sorry, it's hard to find, but
yeah. If you can find a good way to get it, get it. But there you guys have it. Some vampires, some musicians, and some body horror, and all kinds of good stuff. So, pretty out in the chat for hanging with us, and everybody at home for watching. Thank you, Steven. Thank you, Tom, for joining me tonight. And as always, keep supporting physical media, because it truly is a superior format, and you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here.
How you doing? Bitches leave.